Most human babies are created when two people have intercourse, and then, eventually, the baby emerges from a vagina. But not Lazarus Boodle. Lazarus Boodle's creation myth begins on April 4th, 1924, when archaeologists opened a long-forgotten tomb outside of Cairo, Egypt. Those history-obsessed nerds removed many artifacts from that tomb, but none more important than a perfectly preserved cum rag, thought to have belonged to Pharaoh Ramses II, sometime in the 12th century BC. That very night, the entire archaeological crew went to sleep, but when they woke the next morning, they discovered two things. First, that each of them were now sporting dusty cum mustaches. But secondly, they discovered the cum rag, which had gained... which had gained sentience, or perhaps always had it. I was now reading aloud passages from the Egyptian book 50 Shades of Sand. When they approached the cum rag to stop it, suddenly a tear in the fabric of space-time appeared before them, and the cum rag leapt into it, laughing. The wormhole closed behind it, and the archaeologists were left dumbfounded, visibly shook as they stroked their dusty cum mustaches. The cum rag traveled throughout history, causing mayhem wherever it went. It left the beaches of Normandy covered in jizz in 1944. It made Columbus sail in an ocean of goo in 1492. And it left quite the impression on Abraham Lincoln as he sat at Ford Theater in 1865. But it was when the cum rag decided to have a light supper and take in a jazz show late one evening in 1937 that everything changed. The cum rag visited a smoky Chicago jazz club called The Boutique, and there was treated to the smooth stylings of renowned trumpet Louis Armstrong. But what shook the cum rag to its cummy core was the realization that Armstrong, after an intense performance, wiped his sweat off his trumpet not with a handkerchief, but with a cum rag. The mischievous cum rag looked upon this new cum rag with equal parts adoration and lust. It knew what had to be done. So, those cum rags started fucking, right there, right on the floor of the Chicago Jazz Club. And they orgasmed together. So much that it became a Chicago Jizz Club. So much frothy cum, in fact, that it sent a shockwave across the entire universe. A cum beacon had been lit. And in that moment, interdimensional aliens answered. A flash of light later, and 6 large, strange-looking creatures stood before the two cum rags. The aliens looked at each other, and after a long, silent nod, they grabbed both cum rags and slowly and meticulously inserted the cum rags into one of the aliens' anus. Then, once that had been done, they inserted that alien into another alien's anus. Then, once that had been done, they inserted that alien into a different alien's anus. This continued until there was just one alien left. The anus filled like a sexy Russian nesting doll. That alien then walked out of the Chicago club into the street and it hailed a taxi. "Where are you going, buddy?" the taxi driver asked. "Fuck you," said the alien. The alien then left the taxi and disappeared into the night. It was not seen again until the mid-1980s, when it appeared to Pope John Paul II during his commemorative trip to Dodger Stadium. There, in front of the world, it popped a squat and shat out an egg. The alien then died of unrelated causes. It was AIDS. The Pope took that egg back to Vatican, where he and subsequent popes cared for it diligently. Then, in the winter of 2023, the egg hatched, and a fully grown Lazarus Boodle emerged, wearing a sweet sequin sport coat and holding a kazoo. The event was so powerful, the Pope immediately allows same-sex marriage and had his first period. This week, Nothin Good!
Well, welcome everybody to another episode of Nothing Good. You're joined by Doc, Mac, and Jafar to my right here. Listen,
Do you know how hard it was to not spit beer all over this entire table? And I took a drink at the most inopportune times during that fucking story because the absurdity of all of it.
yeah, that can only come
It's just
from one guy.
so much to process.
So much to process. That's the best way to put it. There's so much to fucking process. How do you unpack all that? How do you come up with that?
How many times did you say cum rag in that 3-minute intro?
I should have counted.
I feel like it was at least minimum 17.
It was an excessive amount.
I'm so happy that I did not read that before reading it. Because I did not think after the first at least 4 sentences that I was going to be able to get through any of it. I thought we were just going to have to stop and just go right into Action Jackson. But goddamn, this Lazarus Boodle, everybody, it's a fucking legend built upon a myth, built upon a conundrum, built out of alien Russian nested doll anuses.
And cum rags.
And cum rags.
Yeah. While you were reading that, you had your head down, like focused. Doc and I couldn't even fucking look at you. We were fucking losing it over
I
here.
couldn't look at you guys. There's no way I could, like, if I was going to lift my head and just kind of say, the cum rag traveled through history, causing mayhem wherever it went.
So
It left the beaches of Normandy covered in jizz in 1944.
What popped me was just the ancient, like, Egyptian fucking, like what the fuck?
Yeah, it belonged to Pharaoh Ramses II. Oh my god. And the dusty cum mustaches that they had left.
Thank you, Noah, for that.
So
Appreciate you.
The things you learn here on Nothing Good.
There was a whole lot that Max said, and no one learned a goddamn thing from it.
They're just driving in their cars, looking puzzled as shit. Like, what?
Hopefully, no one got into a fucking accident.
What are they talking about today?
There's going to be an album released, and I'm fucking here for it.
I hope this is just a track called Origins.
Origins?
Just Origins.
I don't know. I hope you're getting fucking kickbacks for how much you're plugging Lazarus Boodle these days.
He's not.
Maybe a reach around.
I did not think about that in the early parts of the negotiations. But I'm going to talk to my agent, and we're going to go back to this whole thing.
You need to work that out.
I'm going to, at least try to get some chicken wings out of this.
So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another interesting and exciting episode of Nothing Good. Thanks for tuning in. We are so happy that you're here joining us today.
So if I can say one last thing about that intro, when it was sent to me, he sent it to me via text. And, I anticipate getting a text message where something that big is just the full screen. No, it was like wraparound text, which I never even knew a smartphone could do that. Like, I had to actually press a thing and it expanded to the full note, because nobody would ever just type that.
Somebody would.
Yeah.
We all know who.
Somebody did.
They did. And he did this before he went to work. So, knowing what you know that he does for a living, that just puts it in a whole different perspective.
I question him all the time about that. Do they know who
Maybe
you
he
really
did it at
are?
work.
He might have.
Oh,
So,
man.
God bless him.
Okay.
God bless Lazarus Boodle.
God bless America.
If anybody here wakes up, like, do you remember, Jones, when we were roommates and the fucking ball?
Yep.
There is a smiley face ball that we swear we threw out at least 6 times, and it kept just showing back up in our house. This is no exaggeration. This is no joke. It would move. Nobody knew how it moved. We never talked about it. I think Jones may have had a conversation with it one night. But, it was there, and then it was gone. Nobody knew how it went away. It was just one of those kind of crazy things.
Maybe for Halloween this year, we'll do a special episode of Nothing Good Paranormal Stories.
Yeah.
And we swear we'll record another episode after that.
There's no guarantee. That might actually be another season finale.
After BBCUs swinging in that episode, where else can you go about that?
Up.
I mean, if the temperature was probably different in that jail cell, it might have. But yeah, the cum rag's gonna follow you around like that.
Yep.
As they tend to do.
Yes. So, what are you guys drinking today?
Not cum.
Thank God for
I drank that last week.
That was the unicorn cum.
That was the unicorn cum, yes.
You chose to do that, though.
I mean,
it's not like it was forced upon you.
Yeah, in hindsight, looking back on it, I was probably a little bit too enthusiastic about the
pretty excited about
the unicorn cum.
Yeah,
but I think I've for intents and purposes, come down on that at this point.
I see what you did there.
Yeah, thank you very much. I'll go ahead. Which is kind of funny in context. I'm drinking Swishy Pants.
What does it taste like?
Not cum.
Does it taste like a windbreaker?
It does. I feel like it tastes like a fall afternoon, and I had to get up early in the morning to go do something outdoors, and I didn't want to wear jeans, and I was too cold to wear shorts. So naturally, I put on Swishy Pants because my sweatpants, number one, would just show off too much of my junk, and I don't need to have that kind of attention brought to me when I'm trying to do stuff in the yard at 9 a.m. I don't need the neighborhood Betties jogging slowly as my Schwanson is swinging in the breeze. But yeah, it tastes a lot like Swishy Pants in that case. So the fall afternoon, yard work, maybe a trip to the farm, like a farm store where they have like some like candles and shit. And, it's Halloween time, so like you're getting those nice fall candles. They're going to have a lot more like vanilla and cinnamons and some autumnal kind of things to it. And maybe get some like pumpkin bread while I'm at it. It tastes a lot like that experience.
Well, that's good to know.
I can go on.
No, please don't.
You should send that to their marketing team. I think they'd sell more Swishy Pants.
Yeah. They probably should. Is there like a company that's just Swishy Pants? Like, first off, I'm not going to go to swishypants.com because I don't
I'm going to stop asking Dave what he's drinking. Because we're going to go...
This is 2 weeks in a row. Like, it went fucking
minute tangent on shit that has nothing to do with what he's drinking.
I just did like a 10-minute introduction on cum rags, and we're going to draw the line at Swishy Pants beer?
Yes.
All right. I see what that is.
Herb, what are you drinking, Herb?
I'm drinking Breckenridge Brewery's Funslinger Lager. It is not particularly very amazing.
It's not fun?
It's not Funslinger.
Is it slinging? Is it either of those parts?
No. It's okay. It tastes like beer.
Is it like summer? Because it says never summer.
Well, no, it doesn't. Because that'd be terrible fucking marketing if it tastes like summer. Because it's never summer.
It says never summer right on it, so I assume.
I feel like with the way the weather's been lately, it's always fucking summer now.
It's going to be 60-some degrees today.
It's wild. 70 degrees next week.
It'll be 70 degrees tomorrow.
Fuck. Like, I feel like I have to do yard work. But not the kind of yard work that would necessitate me to wear Swishy Pants. Probably more mesh shorts, which Jeff hasn't given me that beer yet.
Nah, I guess I gotta look for that for next week.
You know what? I swear to fucking God, it probably exists.
So
I'm drinking. It's called Black Clouds Breakfast. It's by Dancing Gnome.
Is it good?
A local brewery here. Yeah, it's a coffee and vanilla stout.
That sounds very tasty.
It's 11% ABV. So
woo! He's gonna get loose today,
we
folks.
be day drinking.
Jones went full R2 on that one.
Ooh, I'm ready for this one. 11%'s pretty fucking high.
Yeah.
That's a decent sized can.
Wherever Jeff's going, he's not driving.
This is true. That last episode, we talked about that switch that goes off in his head or goes on.
So what you're saying about in another 25 minutes?
Listen, at this pace, you never fucking know. So before we get to Action Jackson and Carl Weathers and all that, I do have a question. In our little group chat, we kind of discussed it a little bit, but I haven't had a chance to talk to you guys in person about this. What did you guys think of the X-Men 97 trailer?
That is not where I thought you were going to go with this.
Oh, okay, good.
I thought you were going to talk about Rock.
No, something far more important.
Well,
I'm super fucking stoked about X-Men 97.
Yes.
Like, X-Men 94 was one of my all-time favorite cartoons. And the way they did the trailer, sort of stitching them together, like, oh, by the way, this is where we left off. Mm-hmm. And this is where we're going. The same style, the same voices. Like, I'm fucking ecstatic about this. I can't wait.
It's interesting with cartoons because, at that time we were given Batman the Animated Series, we were giving, Spider-Man, and we were given X-Men. And all three of them just kind of one day ended. They didn't end at a logical point. they just ended. All three of them really, especially X-Men and Spider-Man, left off with like a lot more story to tell.
Well, I mean, they concluded at a logical point.
Xavier was dying.
Yeah, he basically was passing the team to Cyclops.
But like the Spider-Man show ended with him like yelling at Madam Web, and then we got
it's just another episode. Then you got the Madam Web,
and then
movie,
we got that
and
fucking
who the
movie.
Fuck saw that?
Like 4 people did.
Yeah,
and
that's
nobody.
Unfortunate.
And it definitely was not Dakota Johnson. One of my favorite things about the Madam Web shit is that Dakota Johnson talking about a movie that she A, didn't want to make, B, clearly didn't enjoy making, and C, didn't watch.
Did not
was
watch.
Fucking great. Like, if you get bored, just go ahead and look up interview clips of her online talking about this movie, because she has no fucking clue whatsoever.
Sony needs to just stop with this business.
Well, who's the blonde?
Sydney Sweeney.
Yeah, so she was the host of SNL yesterday, I think.
As of this recording.
Yeah, and so she made a comment like, "Oh, you may know me from this movie and this movie, but probably not from Madam Web because no one actually
nobody actually went and saw it. Like, no,
everyone involved with it knows like that's what it is.
That movie was not what you fucking.
It didn't need to be.
It did not need to exist.
First of all, but
all right, I'm gonna make a little.
I'll wait till it's on streaming.
But let's go back to the question at hand. You didn't answer the question? What did you think?
It's probably.
Did you watch it?
I did watch it.
Okay.
It's probably good that you reeled me back, because I was about to make a pretty. It was a pretty good analogy, but it probably wasn't really appropriate, even for what we fucking talk about.
Right, for the best.
I spent 20 minutes talking about unicorn jizz last week, and I'm like, you know what? Maybe I should probably not say this one. But you know, I'm a little disappointed that Rogue's ass, that her TNA, is not as represented it was back in '94. You know, those 3 years were hard on Rogue. And, you know, I think it's funny that with the X-Men 97, that one of the things that came after that trailer came out was that Rogue, they had that like shot of her with Apocalypse laying there and just all ass and everything.
That is one of the greatest fucking memes that ever came out of anything.
It's iconic.
Oh yeah. And then now it's like, you know, she's got like Taylor Swift's ass.
Now, first of all, here's the thing though. To be fair, we don't really know how that ass is going to look later on.
We don't.
Because everybody's like, look at that shot. It's like a really far away fucking shot. You can barely see. Everybody's kind of like at a distance. But
and everyone knows in today's day and age, the voice of the audience on the internet has a lot of influence on what you see versus what you see in the final product.
Yeah.
So we may see more Rogue ass as a result of fan backlash.
Rogue
fan
ass.
backlash. They can go fuck
rogue
themselves.
Ass.
Listen. Since Dave's not giving me a straight fucking answer, I'll give my answer. He's literally giving me everything else other than what he thought of the actual trailer.
My favorite thing to do.
It's hard for him to give us like a serious answer about anything.
My favorite thing to do, and I'm sure you guys are picking up on this at this stage, is that to not hijack the first 15 or 20 minutes of recording, but I like making you guys work for whatever it is you're asking me to give you. It's fun to just kind of go off on the side a little bit and just try to wait for you guys to find an opportunity to pull it back over.
Oh, you do it well.
Yeah,
thank you.
Thank you for that.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
We appreciate it, and the audience appreciates it.
I mean, I'm assuming they do.
I mean, you know, yeah. You might
who
as
gives a
well.
shit if they don't?
Yeah. Right. Fuck you, Peru.
They're
You
like,
haven't listened
oh,
in
we
a
only
while.
came here to listen to shit about Action Jackson. We'll get to that at 45 minutes.
I swear we're going to talk about it at
We will.
length, actually.
No, I really liked it. I'm excited about it. It's got a lot of it comes with a lot of familiarity, which I think for a lot of people that want to see this show, that's something they're looking for. I like I like that fucking Magneto shows up and he's like, Xavier left it all to me.
Yes.
Some of the voices obviously are different than what I remember. Of course, some of the voices are the same. But I'm excited for it. It gave me, Marvel's had a tough year. They've had ups and downs. There's not been a lot of consistency. And then that week, Marvel's just like, this was the week of right after the Super Bowl. Marvel's like, oh, do you remember we have a huge dick because we didn't forget? And then they're like, here's the Wolverine, Deadpool trailer. Here is the X-Men 97 trailer. And we're just going to casually announce the cast for the Fantastic Four as well, all in a 3-day period. Go talk amongst yourselves, nerds. Like, fuck your vitriol.
Talk we did.
Yeah, and we did.
They knew us well. I really enjoyed the trailer. I thought that across the board, the animation style was exactly kind of what I was hoping it would be. like harkens back to the old
close,
style,
close
but not
enough, but
so old.
Yeah,
because now like there's bits and pieces, and there's extra details, there's extra love and care, and like the character models you can tell, like just something like when we were kids watching the show in 1992 and 1993. There's a close up of Wolverine's face. There is no fuzz. There's no 5 o'clock shadow. There's no little hairs poking out the chin, but there is now. There's like the room and the budget to do this. I'm fortunate enough to own the history and the making of the X-Men animated series book.
I am too,
and it's fucking a fantastic read. If you were a fan of the show, please buy it and read the fucking thing, because it's so much information about how the show was made, the germination of it. You know, why the show kind of took the turn towards the end with the horrible animation. You could fucking just see it. Like that intro. And I'm like, I forgot how bad this looked. The last season was not good. Like the fucking just episodes that have any fucking point to them. Like the episode where Jubilee was telling like the little fantasy story, like the little bedtime story, like just god damn it. Like I like to forget these things happened, but when that music played and just seeing these characters together for the first time in this setting is so monumental in terms of Marvel entertainment.
Yeah.
Because we got Beast here, we got Xavier here, we got, the little music jingle here, but the commitment to have not only the X-Men, but associated with Disney, associated with Fuckbox, multiple levels, bringing it all together.
They have the machine behind it now.
I'm so ready for this.
For me, so I grew up reading comic books and watching cartoons, and Spider-Man is my number one, but X-Men is a very, very close number two. Especially in the early 90s, I was buying all the books. I was buying all the fucking Fleer Ultra trading cards, which I still have downstairs in the bar. And I was fucking glued in to X-Men the Animated Series, without a doubt. So I'm super fucking stoked.
So I'll ask you this question, Mr. Comic Book fan, such as myself and you, Mac. So watching this trailer, and we'll get to Action Jackson, I swear. Watching this trailer, which I've watched a couple times, of course, trying to pick out little details and everything. We got the trial of Magneto's there, very clearly, which is fucking awesome. Jean is pregnant, right?
She is.
So the question then becomes...
Who the baby daddy?
Not just that.
Who the baby?
No, not just that. Well, that's important too.
Who the baby daddy?
No. Is that Jean?
Right.
Or is that Madeline Pryor? Because I feel confident that that's Madeline Pryor, the Goblin fucking queen, and we got Cable in there. What if they actually tell that story? And we get fucking Inferno. We get the fucking demons. We get some weird shit. So, like some of my favorite fucking comic book storylines involve the fucking Inferno.
Well, I think some of the sort of the magic of the machine that is Marvel now is that they've been able to see the success of pulling in what most people, like fans who just see it at the top level of the surface, like, yes, I know who the X-Men are. Yes, I know who the Avengers are. But then they're like, well, here's Guardians of the Galaxy, for example, that unless you're like an actual fan of comic books, you have no idea who the fuck it is. And then they see the success and the draw. So they keep like going deeper into the well to like pull these stories and these characters up that unless you actually follow it, you don't really know. Like for a casual fan, they're not going to know who these people are or what the stories are. But I think because of the way that's built and because of the culture and the fandom these days, like I think there's a lot more opportunity for them to pull that back up and to get the true OG fanboys are going to be like, holy shit, they're going to mark hard for that.
I'm hopeful, man. I would love for them to really dip into more than just the typical X-Men stereotypical storylines. I want to see, I mean, obviously we're not going to see like, God Loves Man Kills or whatever the hell it's called. We're not going to get that. But I would love to see the Phalanx. I would love to really see the Brood. I would love to fucking see some weird, wacky X-Men stories that are so iconic. Not just Phoenix, not just Sinister, not just Apocalypse.
Those are the big three that everybody knows.
Well, and I think that you have the situation too that, because this is a continuation, it prevents you from going back and rehashing that. Like, we've seen Phoenix 3 times. One time it was done well.
It was animated.
And it was animated. And the other 2 times it was not. A couple weeks ago, guys, I for the first time, I actually sat down while I was doing some cleaning and everything in the living room, and Dark Phoenix was on. I was watching. It might have been the second Fantastic Four with Gruffin and Jessica Alba and Chris Evans and everything. And I think I had that on while I was doing cleaning. And then next up, Dark Phoenix, and I'm like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm gonna leave it on. I wasn't paying too close attention to it. It's not like I have to worry about getting those 2 hours of my life back. But it was pretty bad.
Not great.
No.
And they're like, hey, we're gonna do something different, and it's like, oh no, you did pretty much the exact same fucking thing. And nobody really cared. So it's gonna force them to have to tell a different story. What I like about this show is that it is not intended to be on TV at 4:00 and that you're filling a time slot. Because this is streaming, they were able to take their time with whatever the story is supposed to be, and they're able to take their time to tell a concise story. And I think more than anything that's got me excited that, everything that we're going to see is on purpose. And I think when you have Marvel involved and things have to be on purpose, I think more often than not, they're going to succeed. And the animation stuff, almost across the board that Marvel's put out since we've gone to Disney Plus and everything, the animation stuff's been fucking great.
Oh, yes. 100%.
So that gives me a lot of hope for what we're about to see.
Yeah, and I think their commitment to the style and to the origins of the original animated series, as soon as you see it, immediately your mind's back there. And you're like, I'm fucking all in for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We will be covering it.
Yeah.
We will be doing our favorite, or at least as a general sense, before or the week the show debuts, which as of this recording is less than 20 days away, which is fantastic. We will be doing an episode just covering the animated series in general. And maybe we can cover the first episode just because I feel like it'd be kind of cool. But I'm very much looking forward to talking about my favorite episodes and my favorite scenes because there's a few of them.
Yeah, and that's definitely the plan. So, the new season comes out March 20th. So
it will be weekly too. It's not
the
like
episode after this one is going to be our X-Men animated series episode where we talk about some of our favorite episodes, some of our favorite story arcs, and just taking us back to,
I can't wait.
Sort of in our opinion, the sort of golden age of animation, where they really made a commitment to comic book fans, added a little bit more of a maturity level to it in terms of the storylines. And it was just for us growing up in that era and being teenagers through the 90s, it was they checked all the boxes in terms of the demographic that they were targeting for, and I'm so excited for it to come back.
Yeah, truth be told, this show is not for your kids. This show is for us. This is definite fan service. Disney realizing how important this property is to people.
Oh, it's so important.
Because again, when you look at our generation particularly, we are the comic book generation. When these movies started, we were finishing high school, we were starting college. This is our money that's gone into this. But our whole introduction to these characters on a grand stage was Fox Animation.
Yeah.
It's Batman the Animated Series, it's X-Men, it's Spider-Man. These are seminal animated shows, widely regarded, especially Batman the Animated Series, widely regarded as one of the best 4 or 5 animated shows or things ever made, right? And for a lot of us, these are in our minds what these characters are. That version, the 90s, the late 80s, early 90s comics and everything, that version of Wolverine, which we're going to get in Deadpool, in the yellow suit and everything. That version of Scott Summers, that version of Jean Grey, that version of Storm, that's what we kind of hold on to. One of the things I particularly like too about this, I don't know if you guys saw this or not, the Arcade 1-Up. So Arcade 1-Up, they do the arcade machines.
Yeah, in-home arcade cabinets.
In-home arcade cabinets, between $300 and $700, depending on which one you're getting. They're releasing
the X-Men collection.
An X-Men collection, which is going to be for Marvel versus Capcom, and then War of the Gems and A couple of the X-Men ones, not the X-Men Arcade. That's the multiplayer 6-player one, which I just beat last week from start to finish out at Pins Mechanical.
Good shit.
Nice. Absolutely, yeah. We fucking took a celebratory picture after that. We fucking fighting Magneto at the end of that. We earned that shit.
Hell yeah.
No one's gonna actually afford to win that game without free play. Fucking way.
I think the most important point you just made is about fan service, because for a while, comic book movies and Marvel and DC in general sort of got away from fan service and were just like, hey, how do we make the most money? How do we get the biggest draw? And I think Marvel in particular, DC still fucks it up hardcore, but Marvel in particular, and the engine that is Marvel and Disney, has realized the value, the financial value in fan service. We saw it with Spider-Man No Way Home. We're seeing it with X-Men 97. We're seeing it with Deadpool and Wolverine. Like, that's what the people want to fucking see. And like, or you can follow the fucking Sony model and make fucking Madam Web.
Just make Morbius. Let's do it. Well, it's Morbin time, folks.
So like,
you get Kraven, Morbius, and fucking Madam Web.
I forgot about the Kraven movie for a reason.
Everybody's forgotten about the Kraven movie for a reason.
You're like, no, put fucking Kraven in Spider-Man.
Why can't we just
do that right?
Marvel.
They did it in the fucking cartoon, and it worked fantastically.
Sony has a fucking registered hard-on for a Sinister Six movie.
They just won't let it go. Somebody there won't let it go.
Somebody in that fucking office is trying everything that they can to make a Sinister Six movie happen. They tried to do it with The Amazing Spider-Man 2. That whole movie, if they would have just made another Spider-Man movie with Electro, that would have been enough. But they wanted to try to world build that movie, and they put a whole bunch of shit in there. They brought Rhino in, you brought a Goblin in, you had that scene at the end of the movie where they had the octopus tentacles kind of hanging out there at Oscorp and all this other shit. And nobody bought it because that's not what they wanted. But like, they have had it, Sony's had it in their mind for so long to make a Sinister Six movie. So this go-round that they're doing right now is their attempt to introduce their characters for a Sinister Six movie so that they have the villains established to ultimately bring whichever Spider-Man they want, which they're fucking hard on is Tom Holland. They want him to be part of this. With Madam Web, it was supposed to be Andrew Garfield. And then they pulled back because like, the timeline doesn't line up because this is early 2000s. It probably should have been Tobey Spider-Man. And again, because Sony can't fucking pull their heads out of their asses. They need to just let it go. Nobody's buying it anymore. Even Venom, which has been successful, is not good.
No.
They're just not.
Yeah, there was an interview that just came out a couple of days ago. I was watching it yesterday with Thomas Hayden Church, and he said that the original plan was Spider-Man 4 with him and Tobey and Sam Raimi involved, and there are conversations behind the scenes that he probably wasn't supposed to talk about, that may still happen to try to, wrap everything up.
I'll be here for that.
I think everybody is now because we got that redemption piece.
But I think the thing is, like, it's been so far now. Like, Thomas Hayden Church looks old as shit right now.
Well, that's why they had
so
him.
It's like, you better fucking rush that. That's why you saw very little.
There was
of him
no
not
actual
as Sandman.
him as Sandman. Which irked the fuck out of me in that movie because I'm like, you just you're gonna. They could have de-aged him for the movie, but they're like, no, we're just gonna leave you with Sand.
No,
because Sand's easy to animate.
It's cheaper that way.
Exactly. Even like it looked like him in that time period, just made out of sand.
Yeah.
Which everyone loved except for Anakin, apparently.
Everybody wants Andrew Garfield to show up for Tom Holland.
See what I did there, John?
I like it. I did.
Everybody wants Andrew Garfield to be the Spider-Man in the Venom verse in that, which I'm here for. I think Andrew Garfield.
I'm a huge fan of that version.
I am too, and I think that for him, he deserved way better than what he got. He wasn't the problem with those movies, and I don't think anybody blamed him. I think he did everything he could. We all blame Sony, which brings us back to the start of this. One of the things that I enjoyed about the arcade machines is they're doing, kind of going back to my point, they're releasing the X-Men 97 as the cabinet for the games.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool.
With the graphics,
With the graphics and everything.
It looks awesome.
It looks really fucking cool. And it's only $4.99.
Is that all?
$499, not $4.99.
Yeah, $499.
That's a deal.
I have a lot of gift cards that I've gotten from birthday and Christmas, and Stephanie's not listening to this, so I'm not really worried about it. She will fucking murder me if I bring another arcade machine home, but it might fucking happen. So if I'm not on subsequent episodes of this show, ladies and gentlemen, Stephanie did listen to this episode, and it's been a pleasure to bring all of my insightful commentary to all of your ear holes.
Well, I mean, if you bring up Lazarus Poodle one more time, that motherfucker should probably pay for you to have a cabinet.
At least like Beetlejuice, he's gonna show up.
Yeah.
Like, can you imagine his sequins fucking jacket and his wig just outside with a kazoo, just serenading us as we walk to our cars? Because I can.
I can't.
I'm not sure I want to.
You know what I want to do?
Talk about Action Jackson.
Yeah. Talk about Action Jackson.
We will save the Rock talk for another segment.
Yeah, we just talked for half an hour about X-Men.
And that's not even this episode.
Continue
to do so.
Yeah, we could derail this whole episode.
Easy.
I am so interested to talk to you guys about what we've been experiencing the last couple of weeks with WWE.
We'll get to that on our next wrestling episode.
Yeah. Or even just fucking with X-Men the animated series.
We'll just talk about that for a half hour.
Let's talk about that for half an hour and then go into it. Yeah. Cross the stream.
Yeah. Maybe by episode 100 we'll fucking figure this shit out. But until then, we're just going to bullshit.
Yeah.
Look, I feel a lot better where we are now than where we were like 60 episodes ago.
60 episodes.
When I listen to those first, when I go back and listen to some of those first episodes I was on, oh my God, I was so like fucking nervous. Like,
you didn't seem it.
I felt it. And I can hear it in my voice too. Like it's not even necessarily like me talking. It's like a version of me talking that I think should be out there for entertaining. Like I've really, after listening, like I need to like just, talk more about,
the beer helps too.
The beer does help, but also talk a lot more about, unicorn jizz. Cause I think that's what the people really want to hear.
I guess we'll check the numbers and we'll see how that checks out.
Yeah, maybe there's a contingent of people somewhere in the world.
There's probably more people that want to hear about unicorn jizz than wrestling.
Probably.
Because those are our lowest.
Because no one listens to those.
It's such a shame because I think those are like our best episodes.
They are 1,000,000%
I think people look at it like, you're going to talk for 2.5 hours about the Royal Rumble.
It's an issue.
I'll just go fucking Action Jackson.
One of these things is not like the other. One of these things is not quite the same.
But we're still going to do it because we're having fun with them.
Yeah.
We do get positive viewership for all of our episodes. We just like to talk about that because
it's always the lowest.
It's interesting because we're all pretty passionate about that, but those numbers are always lower than the others. But they're all still up there. So
yeah.
But yeah, let's talk about Action Jackson.
Holy fuck.
So I had the idea. Okay, so obviously everybody who's listening to this hopefully knows that the great Carl Weathers passed away last month on the 2nd of February 2024. Rest in peace, Mr. Weathers.
Absolutely.
And I'm going to get this right out of the way. The question is, who is your favorite Carl Weathers role and why was it Apollo Creed? Because for me, personally, goddamn, he's like one of the best cinematic villains ever. Just for what he was able to accomplish as that villain, and then have a redemption arc, and then have a tragic end. That's such a good story.
I don't know that I view Apollo Creed as the villain.
Well, he's the antagonist.
I mean, he's the antagonist, but I don't know that I would go as far as villain because I don't know that character is designed to be particularly unlikable. No. I think that he's driven.
Villains can be charismatic.
He's a likable heel.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
That's a really good
point. Put it in our terms.
Yeah. Yeah. And not anybody else who listens to the show's terms.
Yeah. Because it's our show. We do what the fuck we want.
That's right.
But yeah, I was such a... It's funny, like...
So it's not Chubbs?
No.
From Happy Gilmore?
No.
Come on, man.
No. I don't really like Happy Gilmore. I never really dug... I thought it was fine, but I didn't love... Of all the Adam Sandler films, that is not my top 3.
It's actually probably not my top 3 either, but I agree. I do like Happy Gilmore more than I like Billy Madison.
Billy Madison's also not my top 3.
I weirdly have not really kind of like taken to that movie like Big a lot Daddy, of other people. Big Daddy, Anger Management, some of those. But going back to Carl Weathers, mine is neither of those. It is Dylan.
Oh.
You son of a bitch.
I mean, okay, I guess.
I'm
with you.
I fucking love him in Predator. I love that movie. I hope one day we talk about it because I think that movie is so fucking good for so many reasons, not just for a superficial action 80s kind of a thing, which, you know, we do have a soft spot for here on the show. But it's so smart. And there's a reason that movie worked when other ones that have tried to emulate it have not. But Carl Weathers as the Yang to Arnold Schwarzenegger's Yang in that film works extremely well. You know, the suit behind the desk who's got to be thrown back to action, but he's not really giving you the whole story, and he's kind of using the commandos a little bit. You know, that fucking movie which has a lot of ties into this one, which we'll talk about, is my Carl Weathers. And I would go Apollo Creed and Rocky a very close second. Very, very close second.
Yeah, I think for me, he'll always be Apollo Creed. Like, even watching The Mandalorian, you're like,
that's Apollo Creed.
Apollo Creed.
Everything he's in is Apollo Creed.
Everything he does.
Look at Apollo Creed go and be in space.
Tie that back to it. And for me, like, I liked Predator. I was never like a huge Predator fan. And I don't think I've watched that movie in 15 plus years.
All the more reason to cover it then.
Predator's my fucking jam, man. I watch that movie at least once a year.
I've seen bits and pieces of it since, like, when it's on. It's usually like Arnold in the fucking mud.
Yeah. You saw the new one, right?
I did.
Okay,
yeah.
just making sure. That shit was fucking
you talking
money.
Talking about Prey?
Oh okay, God, yeah. That movie's fucking money, man. Oh my God, that's so good.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the OG one, I don't think I've watched in a long ass time all the way through.
You know, such credit to Carl Weathers, because again, Carl Weathers was not an actor by trade. He played in the NFL and then came to acting after his football career.
Apparently that was his dream.
Yeah.
To be an actor, which is actually pretty cool. Yeah.
Wish my dream could be an actor and I could fucking play in the NHL for 20 years before I go ahead and do that. But, you know, here I am doing neither.
Just do it the other way around. Yeah. Now you get into the NHL, you're an actor.
Predator is important because it was on the set of Predator where Carl Weathers came up with the idea for fucking Action Jackson.
Yes, he did.
Yeah.
But, you know, as an actor, you're very fortunate if you have a role that you're recognized for. And then, you know, perhaps you're even more fortunate if there are two roles that you're recognized for. Carl Weathers has 4, at least. You know, playing Dylan in Predator, being Apollo Creed, being Chubbs, and then being Greef Karga in The Mandalorian. And it's interesting because, you know,
those are not his only 4 acting credits.
They are absolutely not his only 4 acting credits. But his
fucking resume is pretty long.
Is the size of his resume contingent with the BBCU?
We haven't established that this is a part of the BBCU yet.
We have not.
We'll get there if it's possible.
But,
and those of you who have no idea what the fuck the BBCU is, please listen to the previous episode.
Yeah,
it'll make a whole lot more sense when we keep saying BBCU over and over again.
You think we talked about Speed, but we really talked about the BBCU
for the majority of it.
And it is both exactly what you think it means and not at all what you think it means.
Yeah. But, you know, to have a number of roles where, you know, that span your career, that you can reinvent yourself and still have a place, because that's a lot of things that a lot of actors have difficulty with. You know, if you're Tom Cruise, somehow you can defy all age and physics and everything else and just be an action star your entire fucking career. But, you know, people have stages in their career. And if you're not able to properly adapt in your career to the changes in yourself and your appearance and the type of roles you can play, you can often find yourself out of the job, out of work.
Well, today, Tom Cruise can only do that if it's Mission Impossible. He ain't gonna resurrect the fucking mummy.
But you did it again. Yeah. You're on a roll today.
I knew what I was doing the whole time.
Or Jack Reacher at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah. But to have roles at different stages of his career that can be, you know, very visible, very defining. And he started directing too when he got it with The Mandalorian and some of those shows at the end too. So, all accounts, a solid human being too, and you know, known for a lot of great roles. Very charismatic man, as we'll talk about in Action Jackson.
And he was so genuine.
Yeah.
Like I think it's a big loss. You know, when you see guys like him who are so committed to what they do, but so respectable to the art, the craft, the trade, the people that are involved. Like, so many people let that fucking ego and shit go to their head. And, you know, from everything that I've seen over the years, like, Carl Weathers is like one of the most genuine, down to earth guys. So he will definitely be missed for sure.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Indeed. So
very timely time to cover this film.
Yeah, absolutely. So the movie was a $7 million budget, which seems fucking low. But it made like $65 million in the box office, which makes it a pretty fucking big success. But it was a critical fucking dud. Unfortunately, people did not greatly enjoy it, but people came out in droves to see it.
Well, because it's Apollo Creed.
Because it's
and
fucking
he's
Apollo
starring.
Creed. It's a
he's the lead in this.
I wanna sort of like put that out here. Like, we're talking 1988 or so. That was for a black man to be the lead in a major action film is a big goddamn deal. Back then.
And there was no hiding what this movie was supposed to be. You know, when 1987, 86, 87, when they're filming Predator, him and Joel Silver having conversation, they're sharing about their shared love of try to make sure I kind of say it right here.
Blaxploitation.
Thank you very much. Yeah. I was probably not going to pronounce that a few beers in properly. Their love of those types of films and shows and things from the 60s and 70s and wanting to be able to bring that to the screen, made this an unapologetic film.
They're
not trying to...
They don't hold anything back.
No, they're not trying to sit there and say, hey, white people, we're going to go ahead and make this movie in a way that makes you feel like this is for you. They didn't do that. And there's a lot of, you get a lot of credit to staying true to your vision.
Well, the interesting part about blaxploitation films, anyhow, is in the beginning. In the beginning, they served a very particular purpose for the black community in America to be able to tell stories, like street level stories, in such a way that could empower actors, directors, producers. But interestingly enough, that's not exactly how it went, because it became very cross-cultural. White people were like, oh, these movies are actually pretty fucking cool. These are awesome movies. And it became a much bigger deal.
Yeah, I think in the origins of that, it was like the idea behind blaxploitation was it gives people an opportunity, but it's almost like making fun of it at the same time. Like everything's over the top or everything's, just over the edge. But then I think people started to realize, like, this shit's actually pretty good.
Yeah. Action Jackson is very much in that vein. And it's interesting knowing the origins of that, the inspiration makes the movie make more sense in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
And they definitely could have gone a lot harder with some of that shit, and I'm kind of glad they didn't.
I actually kind of feel the other way around. I kind of wish they would have leaned more heavily into it, to be honest with you.
I think a lot of times when you lean too far in, like, people stop taking it serious. And not that it's a serious film in any way. Because it's actually classified as a comedy, but it's not really that funny at all.
There's like one comedic scene, really.
Yeah. This motherfucker sprinted alongside a full-fledged cab.
Mac, we're going to get there.
I know.
Oh, we're getting there.
So I'm just saying.
So the beauty of this movie, when I rented it, I was looking at the fucking...
we had to rent it.
Yeah,
this was not available on any streaming service.
Because it's a Warner Brothers movie, so it was $4, I think, is what I paid for.
Yeah, $3.99.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah.
So it's 96 minutes. Perfect amount of time.
Good runtime.
Yeah, I was like, oh, thank God it's not like 2 hours long. I was like getting ready to like fucking sit down and buckle in. So I mentioned this to you guys, I think, separately. I'm 41 years old, going on 42. I've had the opportunity to have seen and witnessed and experienced a lot of titties in my day. Okay. But the first set of cinematic titties I ever saw, and I wasn't totally sure, but we're talking obviously I didn't see this movie in 1988, so we're probably thinking like maybe 90. You know, it was because we still, my dad owns this. He rented it old school way. You dubbed it and you kept it and you returned the fucking movie. Now you have it forever. We still have it. I know that
you were born in what, 83?
82.
Yeah. So my first set of internet titties, my first set of cinematic titties was Action Jackson. I wasn't 100% sure, but I had this vision in my head.
All you saw was like the picture that was burned in there, and then when you watched it back, you're like,
I could see the face, and then see the titties.
Start to line up, like,
and then I realized,
it's like when you stare at the sun too long, and you just had that like image, like when you blink.
It's like the fucking magic picture with all the lines, and you just have to stare at it a certain way, and then it all fucking lines up.
So for 30 some odd years, I had in my head like it was definitely Action Jackson because I don't remember ever seeing them before that. Okay, so the scene with Vanity and she goes topless. I just went, that's it. That is literally the moment, and it lines up perfectly. It was like a moment. I turned to my wife. I said, "These are it. This is the first cinematic titties I've ever seen." Allie was so amused by that.
I can only imagine. I wish we had Allie here right now. It probably kind of like get her
probably
perspective
scored higher on
this.
the arse scale just because of that.
Yeah, I wonder because Allie too is probably thinking this influenced Herb's titty appreciation for the rest of his life. I mean, this is foundational titty,
and they were nice.
They weren't not.
Vanity
nice.
is a very, very attractive woman.
She's a good-looking lady.
Yeah.
It's funny because this film has a good cast. I've got a lot of thoughts about.
Actually, very good cast.
I got a lot of thoughts about this movie. There are a lot of people in here that you know from other things. There are a lot of people in here that have gone on to do a lot of really good things. Coach Craig T. Nelson.
I was like, Coach.
We got Vanity. Fucking Sharon Stone.
Sharon Stone's just randomly in this.
This has got to be one of her first things. And I remember when I saw her at the beginning of the movie, and I'm like, you know what? Kudos to you, Sharon, because this is actually the first time I've ever watched Action Jackson.
Ah, okay.
So, so I see Sharon Stone pop. I'm like, oh, it's Sharon Stone. Look at her upright and clothed. And I'm like,
she wasn't clothed or upright.
Well,
eventually.
Yeah. Spoiler alert, Jeff. About 7.5 screen minutes later, we get to see some Sharon Stone titty.
It's interesting because, like, you look at the cast, you're like, okay, Carl Weathers, Craig Nelson, Vanity, Sharon Stone. And so, looking at that lineup now, you're like, okay, well, Carl Weathers and Sharon Stone are, like, the two top bill actors. They're going to be on the cover. And it's like, no, it's Carl Weathers and Vanity. You're like, is Sharon Stone even in this? And then you watch it, it's a very young Sharon Stone. Barely recognizable.
It's wild, isn't it?
It is.
Like, because I remember seeing her, like, when she came on the screen for the first time, that little a party, and I went, that's definitely Sharon Stone. I'm like, I don't remember her looking like this.
Yeah, this was pre-Basic Instinct. This was pre.
I remember mid-90s Sharon Stone.
We all remembered mid-90s Sharon Stone,
which was really cool. Like, and she did not make it through the whole movie, which I was surprised. I didn't realize
that she didn't before she died.
Yeah,
so
I did.
You got 3/7 of the commandos from Predator in this movie. And again,
3/7,
pretty much. And then just kind of dumping it in there for us. Biff Tannen's in this.
Yeah.
Biff fucking Tannen from Back to the Future. Tom Wilson is Officer Cornwell.
We got Biff. We got one of the Fratellis.
We do have one of the fucking Fratellis.
We have
got
the mom.
couple people from Goonies.
We
in
have
this
the
movie.
mom from Goonies, and she's only in the very first scene as a secretary, and they were definitely fucking in that scene.
How about him going over to her?
I was like, where do I know this lady from?
Everything.
She's so recognizable.
Everything.
But you don't know her name. I still don't know her fucking name. I didn't even bother to write it down.
I did.
I just wrote down "Mom from Goonies fucks."
Because as I'm looking at this, as this pops up, and the beginning of the movie is a late night meeting.
Yeah.
Okay. And we're just kind of setting the stage.
This whole fucking scene. Oh my god.
And first off, it's we're in Detroit. Because pretty much everything in the fucking 80s was filmed in Detroit.
You don't know it's Detroit till after this scene.
But they show
when it's the classic 80s like
montage.
Welcome to Detroit montage.
But there is the shot of the building, which I know that from Detroit. You even fucking know that from Detroit.
Building.
The Chrysler, yeah. So you know. And I'm like, you got fucking Beverly Hills Cop, you've got Action Jackson, you've got RoboCop, you got a lot of fucking cop shit going on in Detroit right now. And then her name, Mary Ellen Trainor. Because as I saw a Silver's Picture production pop up, I'm like, well, I know there's at least going to be 4 or 5 people in this movie that I'm also going to see in Lethal Weapon, and I'm going to go fucking see in, Predator, and just a whole bunch of other fucking movies that Joel Silver produced. Die Hard, which is funny because, some of these people were pulling double duty because Die Hard had to have been filmed because both of these came out in 1988. Die Hard came out too. Both of these had to have been filmed simultaneously. So Joel Silver's doing Action Jackson and Die Hard at the same time.
Can I ask a serious question?
Always.
We all watched the same movie.
We did.
I love, and it's a very 80s thing to do, to have an intro to a film where you're establishing characters in such a way that you think they're going to be around, and then they just get deleted from life. No,
we're just here to show you something.
More importantly, I was so fat. I rewound this two or three times because I was trying to wrap my head around that this motherfucker palm struck her with such fucking force that she went through plate glass and died.
It seemed like they took it easy on the guy. But they just
caved her fucking chest in with one hit.
It's girl.
The fucking Foot Clan.
I'm telling you, I had them. So as I listed this here, are those ninjas?
They are fucking ninjas.
Or is it Def Leppard? Because I ended up listing this as they are Def Leppard ninjas the entire time because they absolutely look like an 80s rock band.
They really called the Invisible Man.
The goddamn fucking hair on these guys. The audacity to have that kind of hair when trying to carry out covert missions, breaking glass. They just kept breaking the fucking window and then climbing back out and doing it again. The whole first scene.
You're like, is this office haunted? Because all you see is shadows and dude's like, I don't know what the fuck's going on, but some shit's going down. They just fucking uppercutted my girlfriend to death.
Dude, he hit her so hard it stopped her heart. Like, what? I'm like, wait, what did he do to her? Like, did he kick? No, he punched her. No, he palm struck her. He hit her in the chest so hard it caused a severe cardiac event.
Yeah.
Are you shitting me?
No, I've seen it in sports. It really fucking happens.
And I'm like...
That's like the one thing I actually was like, you know what? I can buy this.
This movie is already too much. It's already too much with that one scene.
Well, because even in that one scene, they're like, well, I'm going to go ahead and we're going to have to go and do some things in this meeting. And he gets up and he starts rubbing her shoulders. And he goes and turns on the fucking fight on the TV.
Was he about to pull his dick out? What was he
I thought he was.
I thought it was.
And she's laying back there I know you're going to put your dick out and put it on my shoulder. And I'm going to look at it, get a little smooch there and everything.
Well,
the visual.
That was a
for
visual,
you at home,
folks.
If you could just saw the visual of Dave kissing an imaginary dick on his shoulder. That's something me and Doc can never unsee.
Oh, it's true.
And it's been a lot of that these last couple of episodes. But yeah, and I'm like, 3 minutes, she dead.
Yeah, heart stopped with a palm strike through plate glass. You know how hard it is to get fucking palm struck through plate glass like that?
There's so much plate glass in this office building.
Velocity. You know where that energy has to go somewhere. It went straight to her fucking heart, and it stopped.
Mm-hmm.
What the fuck are these people? So I went from, are they the fucking Foot Clan? To well, maybe they're the fucking Hand from the Marvel Comics. They're the Invisible Man.
They're
Invisible Man.
Jesus Christ.
They're on tour.
With the biggest hair I've ever seen.
They're doing 3 shows in Detroit, and they were able to kind of work this into their schedule.
Oh my god.
I'm telling you, they're fucking rock band mercenaries.
Yeah. This first 4 minutes of the fucking film.
They did a private show for Delaplane. And they're he's like, hey, can you do this one thing for me? And they're like, well, it says in our rider that we have to fucking palm strike a woman to death. And they're like, okay, we can make that happen.
So there are 2 things in the rider. One, you got to palm struck a woman right in the chest and have her die instantly. And the other is that the other dude who I have to just imagine is either the drummer or the lead singer. He's definitely not playing guitar. Is a fucking master with the switchblade.
That fucking guy.
Because that just keeps coming up.
Of all the weapons he needs to have, it's very 80s of him to have a fucking switchblade.
He's not even using it most of the time. He's just fucking flipping it around. Like on nunchucks.
I'm thinking to myself, when I've worked on film sets and I've filled out forms for auditions and things like that, they always say, what are your special skills and qualifications? And, a couple of times that's panned out for me. I've done some movies where I've been, a hockey player. I've been ice skating or something like that. So they use what you got.
For 16 hours, you had to skate on that fucking day.
On 2 days in a row. Fucking 32 hours on skates is the worst feeling I've ever had in my life. But like that dude absolutely had on his fucking resume, I can do shit with a switchblade, because they made sure that they focus on that 4 times at least in this film, of that dude just doing the butterfly knife.
It's a skill he happens to have.
It's a skill that he just happens to have.
Back when he was a greaser in high school.
Exactly. But except in high school it was a comb. It wasn't actually a knife. It pulled out and he was just brushing his hair back and everything. So and the other thing too, because as you said, Jones, they showed and did a private show for Delaplane. Because we've already established later on here that he has his own fucking private shows when Vanity shows up.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about that. Yeah.
So what a way for that fucking guy to go. He's like a fucking Molotov cocktail out the fucking window.
And not only did he go out the window and however many floors that was, then he went through the fucking ground into a restaurant.
Yeah.
And the lady's just like,
and somehow avoided people.
Listen.
He didn't hit a single thing on the way down.
You fucking go play the lottery if you're in that restaurant.
So the first four or so minutes establishes that this movie's all over the fuck. Look, all right, I'm gonna get it out of the way because I'm gonna end up saying it eventually. Mm-hmm. I could not follow the story.
No,
it's not simple. No, it's not simple to follow.
We're not gonna talk about the general plot and the motivations of the villain, the antagonist, because I couldn't actually tell you.
This movie was very much like our show. It's hard to follow if you don't.
Jones,
if you don't know
I have it.
Yeah.
And because I had to explain this to my sister. We were walking the dogs this morning before I came here to record, because, as Jeff knows, always walking the dog. It is not a euphemism. I'm actually legitimately walking the dog.
He's late every time. Fucking dog.
She needs a walk. What can I say?
Somebody's got to do it.
Somebody's got to do it. So, so my sister's walking up the street at the same time I am, so we walk the dogs together, and she's like, what do you got going on today? It's like, actually, it's funny you should ask. I said, have you seen Action Jackson? And she goes, what the fuck? And I'm like, yeah. She's like, of all the things that I thought about when I woke up this morning, talking about Action Jackson was not one of them. And she's like, I've got very real memories of the trailers of that movie, but I don't think I've ever seen it. Tell me about it. I was like, well, fuck, I'm going to tell you.
It's good practice.
I'm going to try to tell you the plot of this movie. So I did attempt that while the dogs were running around playing fetch before I came over, which again, we'll kind of get to that. But
shout out to Chrissy.
It was at this point where Dave's like, if she can't follow it, no one else can. I'm just going to read this fucking Lazarus Boodle intro.
Excited to read it. I'm not going to lie. But you're right. There are 2 things about this movie that absolutely make no sense. So as you said, it was the plot makes no fucking sense. This entire first 4 minutes of the movie we just talked about, you have no idea what's actually happening or why. You don't know why they're getting killed, what their meeting's about, how that has anything to play into the plot coming up. You still won't make that connection until 2/3 of the way through the movie. And then at that point, it's a throwaway scene. But the editing in this movie also makes no fucking sense. There are times where they're fucking, there's nightclub scenes and car chases and shit. And next thing you know, it's light outside and they're back at the police department. Things just don't make any sense whatsoever. How this movie was edited, which I think makes it harder to watch.
So this movie almost it plays it plays like somebody telling a story. It jumps all over the place. So then we go from the man who's a Molotov cocktail and the lady had a fucking palm-struck cardiac event through a plate glass window. God damn it!
He was a Molotov cocktail. They lit him the fuck on fire.
He was flaming.
There's a lot of people that lit on fire in this movie.
There's a lot of people.
What did he say to him? Chill? Did he say chill?
Chill.
Yeah.
Chill out. And then
God damn it. I'm going to put this...
How do you like your ribs?
So there's a reason why we spent our time talking about...
a fucking grenade into his chest.
God.
We spent time talking about the X-Men because that shit's coherent. Okay, so we're going to get to this. Okay, so enter the actual movie, right?
Yeah.
So we have these cops. They're just there, right? They're there to just ease us into the dialogue of this movie, maybe?
Or to the world
the
a little
attitude.
bit?
Maybe it's the attitude.
I think the attitude.
Because there's some really juvenile dialogue
there
between
really is.
them. What is making masturbation jokes and all sorts of things. And then you have Alfred, who is our quintessential
street criminal
who can't get it right. Who needs a shape up so
fucking
bad.
All he wants to do is rob a lady on a bus. Dude, he can't do that right because there's a cop there.
As a black man, I needed that dude to get a fucking shape up. He needed it so fucking bad. It was irritating.
He comes around.
Me.
He goes to the party at the end.
An actual fucking shape up. He needed a haircut. He needed a fucking lineup. Is what he fucking needed. And it was irritating me so bad. Like, brother, I know you ain't got a lot going on. You don't have a lot of money. You're a life of crime. But take $15 and get a fucking haircut. Anyhow, that out of the way. I didn't write that down, but it was bothering the shit out of me. We get the legend the whole time of Action Jackson. And I realized before there were Chuck Norris jokes, there were apparently fucking Action Jackson
had
jokes.
To be. So talking about the purse snatcher, right? So we start with him on the fucking train, and he's scoping out people to try to like steal their wallets or steal their purse. And then like nothing happens. He tries to, but then a cop shows up. Yeah. Like he's clearly, and they kind of established this too, he's the worst fucking like thief ever.
His name's Alfred. That tells you everything.
Like the cops have that joke in there where he's like, I'm surprised he doesn't just wear a shirt that says I steal shit on it. Because he's like watching the woman walking out of the grocery store. And when he tries to steal her purse and she beats the shit out of him and the cops just sit there and watch. But like, I don't know if you guys noticed, when the woman walks out, this was one of the things that I just fucking loved about this. And I don't know if this was on purpose or by accident. I feel like it was more by accident. So she walks out of the grocery store. She's got her purse hanging out there. The dude's scoping her out. But as she walks by, there's a fucking guy that's just standing there. And he's got a tattered shirt. And he's slightly out of focus. The crackhead guy. Yeah. And he's fucking hanging out there like a character at the end of Mortal Kombat where Shang Tsung yells, finish him.
Yes.
And he's just stunned and everything. The dude's doing that in real life. I hope somebody fucking checked on him because I was very worried.
Cocaine in the 80s, man.
And like, I don't think he was acting. I think that was some real dude like fucking strung up on cocaine who just wandered onto the set and they're like, you know what, fuck it, keep him in.
World building.
Yeah.
So they put Albert in the back of the car and then they start giving him the fucking lore of Action Jackson.
I would hope to think that one day somebody will do that in regards to me. Before they meet me.
The Whitfields already do.
Oh, okay.
You know that that's true.
I don't know, but I'll take your word for it.
Yeah. So first the officers ask him if he's inbred.
He really fucking does.
And then they start talking about Action Jackson. So here's some of the things they said about him.
Look, replace Action Jackson with Chuck Norris.
Yeah.
These are actual things that were said.
What was the fucking skit on Saturday Night Live where they did this too? Brasky or something? Bill Brasky. Yeah, they did this
Will
shit
Ferrell.
with Will Ferrell, Bill Brasky too, yeah.
Just these fucking tall tales.
Yeah.
So they're saying, you might have to endure a little session with Action Jackson. And he's like, well, who's Action Jackson? Some say he didn't even have a mother. Some researchers at NASA say he was the first man to walk on the moon without a spacesuit.
Like, how the fuck? They were ahead of their time.
Yeah. Others say his mother was molested by Bigfoot, and he's the mutant offspring. They bring Jackson in when they want to re-educate some young never-do-well such as yourself, Albert. Yeah, I remember one kid got re-educated so bad his testicles climbed back into his belly. They won't even come out. They called it a medical miracle. Yeah, another kid chewed his arm off. He was handcuffed to a chair and trapped like a skunk or a wolverine.
Or a wolverine.
And so this kid's like terrified. So
because every time I see a skunk backed into a corner, I see it chew its own fucking arm off to get out.
No.
So they bring him into the station, and he tries to escape, and he ends up at Sergeant Jackson's desk.
Spills coffee on his shit.
Yeah, and fucking passes out. And then this is a bit that carries on throughout the entire movie. Every time he sees him, he passes out. Until later, he's just at a party with him. Real casual.
Now, Carl Weathers is a big fucking man.
Dude, you forget how big he is because when he's like toe-to-toe with Stallone or something. Or
Schwarzenegger.
Yeah.
Well, I think to that point, like physically, he's like a very big dude. And they're like, oh, we haven't seen him with his shirt off yet. Like, maybe we should just take his shirt away. Which happens later in the movie for fucking no reason.
So many times.
Aside to put the shirt on the Invisible Man because every black person looks the same.
I swear to God.
Again.
Just make this dude even more unlikable. Jesus fucking Christ.
Again.
I'm not saying that because I thought that. I'm saying that because they actually said it in the movie.
They say that in the movie.
You're jumping all the way down, but I wrote, me. Why take his shirt off while chained up? Allie. Come on, how many titties have we seen so far? Me. Fair enough.
That's something for the ladies, right?
6 nipples.
Yeah.
There were a lot of titties leading up to male titties.
Yeah, so I mean, I couldn't argue that.
Right. So, yeah, and again, the plot, there is a plot here. I figured it out. It's very loosely based. It's a stretch, but we get there. So yeah, so then, he compared to fucking Albert. You could put 4 Alberts and stack them on each other's shoulders.
Easily 4, maybe 5.
Put a trench coat on them, and he still won't fucking line up.
Dude's
Carl Weathers. He is.
He's fucking huge.
He is. You don't lose that.
He was jacked for this film.
Yeah. So I like the fact that we have to list off the accomplishments of Action Jackson. First off, this is the thing that I fucking loved, because what a flex. He was a high school track star.
Because, of course.
Fast.
I tell people I was a high school track star.
You ain't Action Jackson.
I'm not.
No.
not at this stage either. Who also went to Harvard Law School and has a law degree from Harvard. And he was knocked down to lieutenant. Like, if you're assembling a character, high school track star, Harvard law student, knocked down to lieutenant, almost it's so comical.
It is.
It is. But it fits the movie.
The best decision they made for this film, for me as the viewer, because again, the actual motivations and plot were so inconsequential to me, it didn't matter. But the best thing they did, the best decision, and whoever made that decision as a screenwriter, director, whatever, kudos to you. But by giving Jericho and Coach history was the best decision. It made everything have weight. Every interaction meant way more than the auto unions worker bullshit that I could care less about.
We all love it.
It was like, he roughed up his son who was like a pedophile or something.
And got him put in jail.
Yep.
Like beat his ass, police brutality. He lost his family, his wife, he lost his career practically, and this dude lost his son. And it's like, there's some real fucking tension. I love that.
And then Bill Duke, our captain, fucking straight out of Predator. I'm looking for him to be sitting there with a razor.
With a razor, yeah.
Just sitting there. They should have just carried that line through. I think in any movie or TV show that Bill Duke has ever been, because also, and you want to go ahead and fucking fast forward to Marvel, he also plays Bolivar Trask in X3, X-Men United.
United and shit. Yeah.
But he should always have even tucked in his pocket just a little fucking Bic razor without the blade in it, because he's not actually there's no blade in that when he's in the fucking woods. The razor burn alone for that man
be extensive.
Like he's literally at that point in Predator tanning fucking leather, sharpening his blade with his face. That's basically what he's doing at this point, if there's an actual razor blade in there. But I digress.
Can we appreciate his name?
Yes.
Can we put some respect on Captain Armbuster?
Put some respect on his name.
That is... what the fascinating part is? It sounds so fucking unrealistic of a name, but I worked with an Armbuster before. A long time ago. It's a real last name, but it's the most badass 80s police captain name that has ever existed. Yeah. That name tells you everything about this character before you ever meet him. Because somebody whose last name is Armbuster, in your mind is
you assume
a tough
he's
motherfucker.
Gonna break some arms.
Yeah,
he's gonna bust some arms.
He didn't get to become captain by not busting arms.
Yeah, not busting legs, not he busting arms.
You know who doesn't bust shit in this movie? Action fucking Jackson. Because a man that size gets worked over by a lot of less strong people in this fucking movie, which I'm sure we will talk about that.
He does get worked over a few times.
He works some people over.
Listen, he does rough a lot of people up.
Yeah,
he
almost lost his balls, and then he
God, that whole
wrecked all those guys in the bar.
He can't sit there while those two dudes are holding him and not just clunk their fucking heads together or something, or just clunk them like this the Three Stooges. It's like in fucking Mortal Kombat, available in the archives, where Johnny Cage is shooting that action scene and he kicks the dude 14 times, and the guy's still standing there. It's like, this is where you fall down now. Action Jackson, fucking Apollo fucking Creed, punches a dude 14 times in the face, and the guy's still standing there give me your next best shot. Like, it should have been so exaggerated when he punched the guy, he fucking flew 40 feet back through a wall like it was the Matrix.
You know, that's an interesting point you bring up, because of him getting worked over and him getting roughed up by people way smaller than him. But somehow, we're jumping ahead, I gotta talk about it. The fucking cab scene.
Oh my God.
So, you know what? I almost for a second.
It's absurd.
Thought I was watching Captain America.
It was the greatest fucking... That's you can clearly tell that who did first Captain America. Fuck.
The director?
The director, yeah.
Oh,
fuck if I know.
Johnson, I think, is his name. Captain America.
Well,
yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so that whole scene, we're jumping over shit, but honestly,
Joe
it doesn't
Johnson,
even matter.
yeah.
It doesn't even fucking matter what we're jumping shit. Yeah. Like, Action Jackson.
Jumping.
Yeah, we're jumping ahead.
Well, there's one thing that does matter before this, because we have to establish before the cab scene that Action Jackson.
Say it 3 times fast.
I can't. Because if I do, a cab's gonna roll up and I'm gonna have to fucking outrun it.
Invisible Man.
Outrun
Invisible Man's gonna get you.
So, Action Jackson is told by his captain that he has to go to the businessman's banquet in his stead because his wife is having parcheesi that night.
Parcheesi for cheesy. That's what they say in Detroit.
That is either some weird code for some crazy shit that they're involved in.
It's cocaine. Yeah. Or whatever they were injecting into each other in this movie.
80s.
It's the 80s. It's late 80s, so we started getting some harder shit with this movie,
what the
too.
Fuck? What was the drug they were using?
Had to be heroin.
I'm not sure.
That's a comically large syringe they were using.
Had to be fucking heroin. Well, you know, it's 80s
Well,
heroin.
it was weird because, like, I know we're all over the place. But, so, the drugs that Coach was giving Vanity was in a big-ass syringe, but it was clear. But when they were in the seedy motel, the drugs that the drug dealer was giving Vanity, same size needle, but it was a brown liquid.
Was that the dude from fucking Mad Max?
No, that was fucking... No,
was that Biff?
No, that's Billy. That's from... He's from Predator.
That was Billy? Shit, that was Billy.
He's the Indian... Yeah, he's the Native American tracker who's the guy, you know, the giant machete.
Yeah. Bless you.
There's no other way. I will never say machete. It is always machete.
I swear to God, I don't even know how to respond to that. We're going to pretend you didn't.
Yeah. I've never seen Billy so spooked just because he's fucking doing drugs. That dude did fucking porn and ran for governor of Kentucky. What a fucking life.
Like in real life?
It's very Kentucky.
How the fuck do you know this?
I told you, I fucking am obsessed with that movie, man. Predator is my fucking jam, dude. It's not my top 10, but it's just outside of it. 3 people from...
I'm afraid to find out how much you know about the things that are in your top 10.
Ask him about fucking Captain America Civil War. We'll be here till tomorrow.
Why do you think I want to talk about Scott Pilgrim so bad? No, so 3 people from that cast ran for governor of their state. 2 of them got it.
Right.
Jesse Ventura
and Arnold, right?
That's true.
You gotta imagine what the conversations must have been like on set when they were like between shots in the fucking jungle. But I digress. But like they're going through this whole thing about why Action Jackson has to go do this thing, which sets up that first confrontation with Peter Delaplane. Like he lost his like that whole thing happened. The son's kid went in, but also Action Jackson lost his stripes, his permission to have a gun, because that's another great thing about Action Jackson. He doesn't have a gun.
He's got 2 guns.
Just
see what I did there.
Yeah.
Dust came off of that one.
All right.
I haven't done a push-up in a while.
The visual that the listeners miss out on.
Some people have said we should record this.
Maybe every
once in a while.
I go, no one needs to see
one of these days
here.
we're gonna fucking do
just
that.
Gonna
Episode
do
100 will probably be a live stream.
Oh shit.
But yeah, he loses his stripes, his gun permit, his marriage, his dog Pongo, his goldfish Goldie, the cat, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Happy Gilmore, and even Grogu, because of that stunt he pulled that cost the department millions of dollars and its reputation.
Poor Grogu.
That was not in the script. Dave just wrote that on his phone.
I did. But I was starting to go down the whole like thing in Robin Hood Men in Tights.
Yeah.
He's like,
it's another Heidenreich rant over here.
Oh shit. So we established that Delaplane
not hijacking Action Jackson. Wrestling shit I will for 10 minutes, not this.
We established that Coach is a bad guy, not a good person. We established that his wife is an innocent bystander, but then enter Vanity,
which is the next wife. This isn't even the original wife. This is
who
the
was
new
apparently
wife.
murdered by the coach.
He murdered her the first. He murdered his first wife.
He's a scary guy.
So casual with his murder too.
It's not normal.
No.
Okay, well.
But like I'm pretty sure that Craig T. Nelson was born that age.
Every movie he's in, he looks exactly.
He has not changed.
The only thing that changes is the color of his eyebrows.
His eyebrows are so fierce.
Oh my
I made
God.
a note about that because, like, in
so
most of the shit that you
fierce.
see him in now, like, he's bald, but he has like the Hogan fucking hair
He's just
on the
not letting
back.
go, man. He ain't
But
letting go.
he looked gray or blonde, whatever it is, because of how shitty it was shot in the 80s. But his fucking eyebrows were like caterpillar black. Like,
Yeah.
They were very. He was very surprised all the time.
His eyebrows had authority. The strength of his power came from right above. And
dude's fucking good at karate, though.
oh my,
We'll give him that.
no,
How random is that?
this is gonna.
You didn't see Dennis Hopper doing that.
He was
those
being
kind of
trained by the
moves.
fucking Foot Clan. Of course, he's good.
And he fucking broke dude's arm.
Dude,
like a
Just
dickhead.
because.
Yeah.
Craig T. Nelson is good at karate from behind. Because every kick...
Giggity.
Thank you.
Hey.
Every kick, every punch is from behind. And then you see him then they cut to the front of him going, ha! And then, like, there's another shot behind. Kick. And then another from the front. Ha ha! Like, there's no fucking way Craig T. Nelson was lifting his leg
Oh
anywhere
no, he
above.
is not limber enough.
No. I've seen Coach enough to know that, he
Shout out
was
to fucking Coach. I love that fucking
Everybody
show when I
loves
was a
that
kid.
fucking show.
That show was not for me, but I
Yeah.
loved that show as a kid. It was another one of those shows you had nothing to do. It was randomly on TV.
Yeah.
I only watched it in syndication.
He's the head coach of a major college football team, and he lives in a fucking cabin in the middle of the woods.
Shout out to Jerry Van Dyke, man.
Right? Abso-fucking-lutely.
Well, I mean, he was in
Luther.
Poltergeist.
Luther and
right
Dauber.
before this.
Boom.
Yeah.
I fucking yanked that shit from the 90s. And we're pumping. Fuck. I love that show.
Because Coach was later in his career, right?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Poltergeist 2 had come out just before this movie.
Oh, shit.
And then Turner and Hooch came out right after.
Yeah.
Oh, Turner and Hooch.
Where he was the chief.
Yeah.
So he switched sides.
He moved up a little bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, his eyebrows definitely deserve their own credit in the film.
They definitely were colored in.
At the very least, a special
had to have
thanks.
What did his eyebrows look like in Poltergeist?
I don't remember.
I thought they were
That
just
movie
normal.
scared the fuck out of me.
So Coach started in 89.
Yeah, this was so...
And it ended like 95 or something?
97, 198 episodes.
It was a really
That show was
popular
on for
show.
a long time, yeah.
That shit was on forever.
Mm-hmm. Christine, Dauber, Luther, and Coach. Whatever his actual real name was. 'Cause
Yeah.
I can't remember. What was his real name? You motherfuckers have both have your phones out like this. So I'll look it up.
I don't know. I know he was the voice of Mr. Incredible.
Yep.
In The Incredibles.
As we silently look up.
Coach Hayden Fox.
There it is. God damn.
That sounds right.
Yeah, but his
fucking love
hair
that
is
show.
darker in Coach. Like, looking at some of the shots here, he's got brown hair.
Interesting.
But in less
he
pronounced
does.
eyebrows.
Well, that's fucking weird.
It's something.
That's fucking weird.
It's something, man.
That show was my jam. For anybody who watched that show, we're with you. Even if you didn't really... there's like a whole host of TV shows back then that like...
Mama's Family?
No.
So Mama's Family, he watched religiously.
Oh,
Coach was like a
we
casual
established
watch.
this.
Coach
Okay.
was a casual watch. Because it was on for fucking 12 years.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
You had to feel
So
something.
it was
You had
like
to have
always
something.
on.
Well, I was going to say that it was in the category of shows that weren't from my demographic or my age.
Yeah.
But
we were
it
kids.
was so good. I put another show I put in that category, but I absolutely fucking did not like Wings. That shit was instant channel change.
Yeah, I was changed.
I could not get it. I didn't understand.
Do you
the
guys
point of it.
know anybody that watched Wings?
No,
Because I don't.
No one.
I only knew it because it was on USA.
It
and
was
that's
on
where wrestling
USA.
was.
Yep.
It was like Wings and Northern Exposure were two shows that, like, anytime I saw it come on, not saying they're good or bad because I never watched them, but I would immediately change the channel.
Because it just wasn't for you.
It was on forever, though. So
Yeah.
people were fucking tuning in.
So back to Action Jackson, right?
Yeah.
This is going to be like the episode of fucking Sidebars. I love it. So, again, the plot matters not. All that matters is Vanity is Coach's Delplane's mistress, his side piece. And listen,
lounge singer.
Money can buy you a lot.
Heroin.
Because there ain't no way in hell without the money and the heroin or whatever fucking comically large syringe that was being injected into her, that she would not want him normally. I will say that.
Yeah, so he was buying private shows at the club, Joey's. I think that was the name of the club.
Joey's Elite Club.
Yeah. Where all the tables or all the chairs were upside down except for the one that he was sitting in.
And he's slow smoking a cigarette like he's at a fucking strip club.
He was having sex with that cigarette.
Oh, he was.
He was fucking that
Yeah,
thing.
he was.
He made a dick joke. What did he say? She's like, "Oh, usually I get a standing ovation," and he's like, "You're getting one right now." Although he wasn't standing up, he was just sitting down, smoking a cigarette, real casual like.
I
was like, "Oh man!" So they exchanged titties for drugs.
Yeah, you know what the funny
And this
thing
is our first set of titties in the movie, not our last,
and the first for some of us ever. The interesting part is, I full on expected in a movie like this, as raunchy as it really was, there'd be some titty chewing, and there just was none.
There wasn't. You could see them.
Well, that's
Just gonna chew them.
Yeah, exactly. It was a little disappointing. I expected more.
There was a lack of chewing for the 80s, based on what we're used to.
But does anybody want to see Craig T. Nelson like nipple chew? I don't.
I mean, I'm not saying I want to see the full on. I'm more or less, it's like, at least give us a silhouette. Give us a classy 80s.
I want to see him like chew and then pop his head up like fucking Hogan after he just got clotheslined with his hair.
Or Vanity
around.
Does this and just starts shaking and everything.
Yeah.
That's what I was hoping for.
But yeah, we established Vanity.
Was Vanity actually, because like now a lot of actresses go by their artist names, which are, a single name. But in the late 80s, were there very many musicians, because she was a Canadian singer, that just went by her singer name, just Vanity?
You mean like Prince?
No, I mean like females.
Oh, female.
Madonna.
Was she in any movies?
She did A League of Their Own. She did Dick Tracy. She did a few.
In the 80s?
80s, I don't know.
No, she was still a musician in the 80s.
That's what I mean. It wasn't really like a thing that was very common.
Wait. So there is...
I think you might be right.
Conan the Barbarian. I don't know if she was a singer. Let's see here.
This is thrilling content, folks.
Because I didn't think about this shit.
I was just asking a question.
There were like one or two, but not a lot. No.
It just seemed uncommon, especially for someone who's not like very well known.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Vanity was very well known. Vanity was a big star, from what I understand.
I was thinking of Grace Jones, who was Zulu and Conan
Grace
the Destroyer,
Jones.
but no, she's got two names.
But yeah, she's established as like the kind of like this muse, this sort of like sex pot, as they say in the 80s.
Yes.
For Coach. I'm not going to fucking call him anything other than Coach.
Yeah.
Hayden Fox. Fuck. That's such a cool name.
She's just going back to the point I just made. Like, was Madonna showing her tits? No, because she's like a legit like pop star.
Madonna showed her a lot of her tits. There's a lot of Madonna tits. She fucked everything that moved too. Apparently,
you don't want to see that shit.
Not now. I saw her just on stage and just
it's terrifying.
The plastic surgery did not hold.
So we skip along, right? And Jericho. It's weird even saying Jericho. Action Jackson. It's such a weird name.
Well, you don't know his name's Jericho until dude from Fratelli from the Goonies, when he calls him to his room where he's fucking losing his shit.
He was losing all of his shit.
Fucking out of his mind.
And he's like talking
He just keeps saying Jericho, and I was like, why does he keep saying that?
But
he's like, that's not the Jericho I know. And I was like, why does he keep calling him that? And then it's like, oh, my real name's Jericho. It's like, oh, yeah, that checks out.
See, there's a lot of overlap. Now, this movie is being filmed at the same time as Die Hard. Robert Davey, who was the Fratelli, he's in Die Hard. He's in this. Al Leong, the henchman with the long hair and the mustache, he's in this in Die Hard. The fucking limo driver from Die Hard is the valet at Action Jackson's like hotel.
Yep, that's right.
There's a lot of overlap. Mary Ellen Trainor, she's fucking the woman who dies, who gets chest punched to the heart and dies through a plate glass. She's also in Die Hard.
So, are you insinuating, with a straight face, that there's a Die Hard cinematic universe?
There's an Action Jackson Die Hard cinematic universe, yes.
Oh, boy.
AJDHCU.
Oh, my God. Sounds like a disorder, Jesus.
Oh, Christ. That's something like you hear on Jeopardy when they're like telling you about how you can relive your life at an older age just by taking this AJDHCU.
So we come to I'm sure you guys found this out in your research that Paula Abdul had gone for the part of Sydney Ash.
She probably went out and showed her tits.
I mean,
she may have had to.
I don't think she ever did.
I don't think she did. But if she got this role, it was. Why would Vanity do it? I'm outside of heroin.
I mean,
she didn't show her tits in the Last Dragon.
No,
right, Leroy.
Well, I think Vanity had hopes of
showing up,
being a big movie star, and she was only in a handful of movies with small supporting roles. She had a lot of experience with this particular role because she was playing the part of a junkie, but she was a junkie in real life.
Yeah.
And she had told everyone in interviews, afterwards, yeah, it was really odd for me because I was acting like I was shooting up and getting high, and then as soon as cameras would stop, I would go back to my room and shoot up and get high.
That's just wild.
And unfortunately, her career didn't really take off the way that I think she thought it would. I think I was reading that she got heavy into religion and God a few years after Action Jackson and the other roles that she was in, and stopped doing drugs and stopped doing movies and stopped singing and all of that. And unfortunately, she passed away a few years ago.
The damage had been done to her body.
Liver failure.
Can we talk about the cab scene? I've been waiting to talk about the
cab scene. One last thing about her titties.
Dave is gonna keep.
No, this is the last thing, and then right into
this fucking cab scene business.
Because there's a great fucking.
Tell us what you think about it, Leonardo.
There's cucking in this fucking movie. There absolutely is.
Yeah.
Right before the titties, and he's pulling out the syringe and everything, he says, and I quote, "Give me 2 good reasons why I would say those things." And then she just titties. And I just went, nice.
That's what you wanted to add. That's what I wanted to add.
Stop the whole train of thought for that.
I don't give a shit what else I say in the rest of this thing. I had to get that out. I had to. All right. Cab scene.
Well,
Jesus Christ.
So Jackson has been in contact with Del Plane's coach's wife and asking her all sorts of questions. Sharon Stone trying to figure out what the heck's going on. They get attacked by a fucking guy in a cab.
They get attacked by Blade. So it's Wesley Snipes' Blade before Blade.
My man says,
Invisible Man.
I gotta catch a cab. And starts sprinting after the cab.
High school track star Jericho Jackson.
He pulls a full-on Captain America. Basically beats the fucking cab. Goes faster than the cab can go.
Gets on top of it.
He leaps onto the cab with his not even his fist, with his forearm. Shatters the windshield. I'm like,
that was the part that got me. I was on board with him running and jumping on the car and holding on and the fucking cuts back and forth from the fucking visual effects was terrible.
And plus the fucking driver who the actual stunt driver has a full fucking afro.
I don't know if you guys caught that or not. I kept noticing that. It was so throwing me off.
He shatters the windshield. I'm like, how many dudes have you fought in this movie? And you get your ass handed to you by these fucking little dudes in a fucking bar. But you just put your fucking arm through a windshield.
He shattered it.
And then you basically play chicken with a taxi.
He does a front flip over the taxi.
Like the fucking Power Rangers.
I swear to God, I've never seen something so more fucking preposterous than that.
So this is the stuff that you guys are bringing out of this. As somebody who ran track and field, the whole
thing... You don't look it. Sorry.
Wow.
I did when you met me. Fuck, man. I did when you met me.
11% Pierce.
I didn't say I'm just gonna go cry now.
Oh shit.
No, he was doing all this in a pair of fucking loafers.
Right?
He's not even wearing
he get no traction
shoes.
In those shoes.
He's not wearing sensible shoes.
No.
He's got zero traction.
Listen, I saw one kid in high school. Name was Mark. He was a real athletic kid. and like we were just dicking around outside of school, and like one of the kids had like their car, they got their license. He was like a grade or so higher than me, and like he was a legit excellent athlete, and he runs and jumps over the fucking car, like the length of the fucking car, which is impressive to do. I could not fucking do that.
I think in my life I've probably watched 2 full hours worth of videos on the internet of people trying to jump over a moving car. 0% chance of success.
Now, mind you, this car was stationary. Now, Action fucking Jackson has the wherewithal, the fucking agility, the movement, the moment-to-moment movement ability to front flip over a moving vehicle.
But
like a cat.
The guy has the opportunity to just fucking shoot him.
And he doesn't.
And he's like, you don't want to shoot me. That's below you. Why don't you just fucking run me over with a car?
Because he doesn't have a gun.
And he's like...
So he's just, come on, motherfucker, let's go. And
you know what? I think I can run you over with a car. And then as he's fucking flipping over the car, driver looks back and then just fucking hits a car so hard he goes over the roof of the fucking building behind.
Yeah. This movie's so too much.
It's absurd. It's not the bus from Speed.
No.
He was driving like 10 miles an hour.
Which one? But oh my God. It was he was running, Action Jackson was running a full 40 miles per hour and was running next to the guy looking into the cab like, hey, what's going on?
Do you have any Grey Poupon?
Pretty much.
I've been trying to flag you down for hours so I can just stop for me.
I realized in that moment, that whole scene, that clearly the legends were not overstated about Action Jackson and his potential origins, that he is actually the original super soldier, apparently.
He was birthed from a Yeti.
Yeah. From the taxi was on his left.
It was on his left.
It's a Captain America reference.
It is.
If you aren't paying attention.
Weirdly enough, everything about this scene, I didn't even think was that far-fetched. It's absurd. It is absurd.
The whole
thing
is absurd.
Like you guys, like the thing that, like I said, the thing that pissed me off was he's doing this in fucking office loafers. But like you're sitting there, he did that. Like I've seen Apollo Creed with his shirt off. I could buy him doing that.
He had no leverage.
I'm not saying he did.
He just did.
He was standing still.
And just shattered the damn thing.
But I said, weirdly enough, of everything in this movie, I don't feel like this was like. I was kind of here for it. I was kind of here for it.
You were in then.
I was. Outside of him running in loafers, even like the full front flip, I'm like, you know what, fuck it. Yeah. A standing broad jump, dude.
And he landed on his fucking feet.
Of course he did.
He did it, the form was damn near perfect.
It was.
And then the car crashes.
High school track.
You know what it reminded me of? Like when he fucking flips over the car and he lands on his feet and he looks back and he sort of smiles like a fucking Mentos commercial. Thanks for missing me, buddy. As the dude fucking flips over the building and fucking his car blows up, but he escaped. So we will see him again later.
After all that happens, the fucking preposterous shit that we witnessed, Sharon Stone's all frazzled because obviously her life was in danger. Jericho's talking some shit about her husband, all the dirty deeds he may or may not be getting into. She makes the fucking bad decision to go to fucking Coach and fucking tell her. And the whole time I'm thinking to myself, is he gonna fucking kill her? He's not gonna fucking kill her. And then the gun was gone. And I'm like, oh shit, and he fucking just pops right in the gut.
And they just let her lay there.
And then kisses her as she's dying.
Oh, well, first off.
She was already dead.
First off, we have to establish that early on that he has a fucking kink for banging chicks that are unconscious and or dead. Because when he gave Vanity the shot and she passed out, he absolutely fucked her. You don't sit there with nipples out and just not go to town on Vanity's chest or whatever else. And then as he's kissing her and everything after she shot, he took one more fucking run at it. He did.
I don't know what he did, but he's an actual fucking psycho.
Yeah, his bodyguards came in pretty quick after the gunshot.
They fucking cucked. I'm telling you, there's cucking all over the place in this movie. They sat there and fucking watched, man.
I like how, when I watch these movies with my wife, she largely doesn't say a whole lot when we're watching them, unless this shit that's just ridiculous, she'll chime in. But, like, he shoots her, and, like, there's some titty. Dead titty. And Allie just, like, it's laying in the love sack, she just turns and goes, bloody titty. It goes right back to the fucking movie. I'm like, well, all right, that's why I married you.
That is why we love your wife.
Jones, that's how you know you won.
I was like, that is bloody titty, Allie.
My wife is like, what the fuck are you guys watching? This is the movie you're talking about.
I was a little embarrassed.
Steph's going to bed, And I'm like, I'm going to watch Action Jackson. Do you want to? And she just goes, no. it just went upstairs and went to bed.
See, Melissa was on the couch watching with me, and Riley was on the other couch, but she was playing on her iPad with her headphones on. And so, like, she's like, is this the movie that you're watching? And I was like, yeah. And she's like, I'm not really watching it. I'm just here. And I don't know what she caught or didn't catch. But
there was a lot
just the absurdity of
it's
it
so
all.
absurd.
And then we get, like, Action Jackson's moral code later on here. So, like, he's on the run because he realizes the cops are at his apartment when he's trying to go back with Vanity. So they have to go to the hotel and everything. And, you know, he's talking to Vanity. He's like, oh, I got to go back and get my purse and everything because all my makeup's there. And, you know, she was definitely going to fuck Action Jackson.
Oh, man. She wanted the D.
But when he's like...
She wanted that so bad.
But he's like, you know, you don't need the makeup. That's when she wanted to make love. Because it just, you know, you're beautiful without the makeup, Vanity.
Then he started shitting on her for being a junkie.
Well, that's my whole thing. She's like, you know, when they get to the hotel and everything, and she, like, looks at her and she goes, one more chance. Do you want to fuck? Like, I'll fuck you if you want. Like, let's
yeah, we've all been there.
And he's like, no thanks. But, like, he wants to cuck. Because he's just going to sit back and watch her do whatever she's going to do. Because he doesn't bang junkies. And my favorite part is at the end of the fucking movie.
Cold turkey.
When she's like, we can fuck now. He's like, really? He's like, yeah, I quit. Cold turkey. And he's like,
she's like, you want to fuck me on Thanksgiving? He's like, how about sooner? I was like, Jesus Christ.
Oh my God, it's great. So this movie, I don't know if you folks listening in TV land here, on podcast land, have put it together, and hopefully you've listened to enough of our episodes, more specifically the Cobra episode, that this shit is not as crazy as Cobra, but man, it's trying.
Oh my God.
To be as crazy as Cobra.
Real hard.
There's a level of writing. Like, they're in the car and everything, and she's like, you have to either be a queer or a cop. And then Action Jackson looks at her and goes, well, I'm not a queer. It's like Shakespeare's writing this shit, but it's even better because it's the 80s.
Oh my God. So we got to talk about the nuts in a jar scene, right?
They cut off Papa Doc's nuts.
So Papa Doc's some sort of an informant that Jackson's looking for. So they go to this bar, him and Vanity. There's a bunch of people, the patrons, you know, hanging out, and he's like, I'm looking for Papa Doc.
It looks like fucking Breakers in Dormont.
It did.
It was.
It might have been.
The listeners probably have no idea what I'm talking about, but it's a fucking dive pool bar.
Yes.
In fucking Dormont, which is real close to where we all live.
Yes. And they're like, he's like, oh, hold on. So they go, they're talking about the ball. And they're like, all right, come with me. He takes them to a fucking room. There's like a closet. It's like an armoire. And he's like,
oh, there's Papa Doc.
He's like, Papa Doc's, like, well, open up. I'm looking for Papa Doc. Open the door. I'm looking for Papa Doc. Open the door. Okay. Open the door. It's a fucking jar. I can't tell what that is initially. It just looks like flesh. Like an organ of some sort?
I actually thought it was like an aborted fetus.
I kind of almost went like that. I'm thinking
That's
myself,
like the first place I went.
Is this some weird sci-fi term we're taking where Papa Doc was actually some weird aborted fetus?
No, it was his balls.
It was a fucking set of nuts.
Yeah.
And then Action Jackson, once again, gets punked out, gets his ass whipped by people far smaller than him.
How did he get knocked out by whatever he hit him with?
Was it a glass bottle
or
something?
Big motherfucker.
What kind of balls do you have to go up to a man that size and try to pull that shit off? Because you got one shot. And if you miss, you're pissing him the fuck off, man.
Which we established, once you piss him off, it's all over.
Yeah.
Ask Coach.
Oof. Yeah. He's fine. Like, you can get the best of him until you make him mad.
You make him mad, he'll rip your fucking face off, apparently.
That's bad
or just shoot you. So he's getting punked out by like 4 guys. And the whole scene, I almost couldn't tell at first what they meant about were they going to cut his balls off or were they going to rape him? Like, it was going in a weird direction.
I think
both.
Were they going to do both to him?
Both was the vibe that I got from that whole
You can
thing.
cut off balls and the dick still works.
Jesus.
It's really only funny because he made dead-ass eye contact.
With
Serious humanly
the
possible
straightest look on his face, like, it'll still work. Like, I fucking know, it'll still work.
It was like Dave had transported himself to a different time, knew some shit, and wanted to impart this upon me.
I watch Game of Thrones enough. Varys is a completely functional human being.
Fucking spider.
Sometimes
we learned some shit.
Works.
Oh my God, I cried a little bit off of that.
But, so, apparently, they got the best of Action Jackson until
Vanity comes in.
Yeah, Sidney Ash.
It's the only time this movie tries comedy legit, and it's not funny.
Says, "Oh, this is my brother, and he's big into the Lord." So
he's got a plate in his head.
He's got a brain injury, and he's fucking crazy.
Yeah, he starts spitting the gospel, and
he's like dancing and prancing around. I'm like,
then he just put some hate in their lives.
That scene felt like something we shot for the 48-hour film festival, and we just had like a spot in the script where it says, Dave, go nuts. And that's what I came up with. It's like, oh, we're trying to be funny, but it just didn't quite get there, which is most of this podcast in general.
No, it's Ted.
It's Ted.
That is the funniest part of that fucking
joke.
movie.
That whole fucking movie.
I know.
That was an experience in life. So then, Jackson whips a whole bunch of ass, and they get the fuck out of Dodge. This is before... Was this before or after his car got fucking mutilated?
Yeah, it was before.
Okay. Then he finds his car. Had been parted out pretty fucking hard.
He doesn't find that until he goes back to the room and she's not there.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Because she's...
And then...
Let's get her fix.
The boxing dude at the desk is like, oh, I don't know where she went. She didn't come this way. So he goes back upstairs and she's...
Well, he tells her there's a drug dealer on the third. He's like, I don't run any kind of a establishment like that. He's like, come on, dude. All right, third floor.
He's like, you didn't hear from me, but
it's not Joe Louis. What's the other? What'd they say his name was? The other boxing
Ace
name.
Something or
what
Sable something Sable.
Yeah, what you see is fucking little fancy footwork later on at the party. That's a big dude to be moving like that.
Yeah.
And old to be moving like that. So we get this fucking... And this is the thing about this movie. It's like it was... The script felt like somebody was telling a story. So Papa Doc is dead. He's just a set of nuts now. And a jar. And a mason jar.
It is at that point because he gets back and he's like, oh, I was looking for Papa Doc. And he's like, oh, I could have told you he was dead.
Yeah. So then he goes to this fucking hairstylist who proceeds to fucking sing exposition that I can't follow because she's singing it.
D fucking knows everything.
She
knows way too much.
I'm surprised she's still alive.
She's a fucking liability.
Like, these were all of, like, his childhood friends. Like, this whole neighborhood. Like, this was his spot. And so that's why they're all so eager to help him out.
And I'm just, like, trying to follow what she's saying. And I'm like, it's the dancing and the prancing and the... But what are you even talking about? And then she mentioned the Invisible Man. That's the only time they mention it.
Yeah, that's the only time we knew that's what that dude's name was.
Why does she even know this?
I just kept calling him Not Blade. Because he just reminded me so much of Wesley Snipes from the Blade movies. And of course, like, it's like a fucking sports clips. He's getting the hot steam towel action when he's sitting there.
That was before its time.
Yeah.
I just got that yesterday.
But yeah, it's there. She just knows way too much. Now, this is where the story kind of like flushes out. This is where they actually kind of force the exposition, because at this point, then they're editing the movie. They realize nobody has any fucking clue what's going on.
Nope.
So evidently, Craig T. Nelson is trying to, as what Action Jackson thinks, that the head of the Auto Workers Association, the AWA, which is like the Auto Workers Union.
So this is the only reason the movie is based out of Detroit.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Because of the auto industry.
Right. Or they just got a film credit and they just shoehorned that in. It could have been a fucking Teamsters if they did this in New Jersey. But it's like one of those things. It's like, okay, we're going to go to a restaurant. Whoever pays us the most money is the restaurant we're going to shoot at. This is like, all right, we're going to film this in a city and we'll have a union there. If this was Pittsburgh, it'd be the Steelworkers Union. Yeah. If this was LA, it would be the Film Workers Union.
No way, man. Those Detroit montages were basically shot for shot from Beverly Hills Cop.
They were shot for shot from RoboCop. I'm pretty sure they used the same fucking steel mill where that.
It's all the same B-roll footage of Detroit from the 80s.
That's why this movie cost $7 million and not more. So this is where we kind of get the plot. So here we go, guys. All right, here's the plot of this film. So Craig T. Nelson is rumored to be trying to take out the head of the AWA because he is trying to, from what we think, assume power and take that role. Because, again, he's a prominent businessman who knows karate. So the idea is Action Jackson is trying... Now, he has a group of henchmen, Ninja Def Leppard, as I call them.
I like that.
And he has them taking out people that know much. We got the people in the in the skyscraper at the beginning. There's the people on the boat we didn't talk about. Where the guy's like, I got this boat locked down tighter than the Pope's snatch or something like that he fucking says.
Because people fucking talk like that.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes I talk like that, but, just for comedic effect. I had the actual thing kind of written down here in terms of the actual quote because it's ridiculous, but I digress. So people start disappearing, which is why Action Jackson is investigating these things.
They're not just disappearing; they're getting blown the fuck up.
Well, they are getting blown.
A lot of people are getting blown up.
Yeah. So Sharon Stone overhears a conversation in the house by one of Craig T. Nelson's henchmen. So she goes to tell Action Jackson that she thinks the head of the AWA is in danger, which he is, but it's not the first instance. It's the giant fucking party they're going to throw at the end. And the whole thing is they're going to frame Action Jackson as the person who killed the guy at the AWA. And then they're like, oh, well, why are you going to do this? Because Craig T. Nelson's like, because the AWA got, like, Gerald Ford as president. And I like power. I covet power. So you're going to be president? Oh, no. I'm going to put my own guy to be president. I'm going to control him. That's the whole basic plot of this thing that makes absolutely no fucking sense except for Dee's exposition and Craig T. Nelson talking for 5 minutes later on. But for the other 90 minutes of this movie, you have absolutely no fucking clue what's going on.
It's just bits and pieces.
Yeah, it's just bits and pieces.
You know who described that best? Was Jay-Z. He said, I'm not a businessman. I'm a businessman trying to handle my business, damn. That's Craig T. Nelson, this whole movie.
Yeah. Well
Just
said.
so you know.
Well fucking said. God damn it.
No, I'm not going to say that. Not as good or as eloquently as you did.
I'm a businessman. So actually, there is. It doesn't even fucking matter. It's just it's the dialogue.
Does any of it matter? Really?
Well, the line of dialogue was so fucking ridiculous. I had to pause it for a second, laugh for a moment, and resume. At the party. So there's like the scene where Action Jackson is.
So they kind of catch Action Jackson, and because he finds the head of the auto workers thing to go tell him he's in danger, and he's like, you know what's going on, and he's like, oh, somebody's gonna kill you. Who's gonna do it? He's like, you are.
Yeah, because in every 80s action movie, somehow we have to end up at an abandoned factory.
Yeah, that's right. Like 80s trope number 3.
Yeah, so they lure him there.
Absolutely the same abandoned factory from RoboCop.
Yeah,
find out like it.
Yeah, just less mutagen or whatever's in that fucking tank that mutilates those dudes. So they go to the factory. All that shit goes south because Invisible Man and the Invisible Men, whatever the fucking assassins are called, also just so happen to be there. And so they capture Action Jackson, take his shirt off, chain him up.
Because the only way we're going to frame Action Jackson is because somebody's going to wear the same shirt that he was wearing.
Yeah. So they chain him up. Coach tells him the plan. And then they decide to go. Everyone leaves except for the two most incompetent fucking assassins.
Yeah.
And then Sydney's bodyguard or doorman or whatever the fuck you call him.
Mr. Ed.
The big dude.
He dropped down like the blob.
He comes out of nowhere and fucking saves Action Jackson.
What did he say when he dropped down? Hi, I'm Mr. Ed.
Yeah.
And
then, the fucking horse.
And then they fucking...
It was a far drop for him to land on his feet. Mr. Ed's not a small guy.
No, he's big as shit.
Then Action Jackson and Mr. Ed continue to blow up.
Light people on fire.
People that are there.
Like, earlier, Action Jackson tries to get the vanity and Mr. Ed's outside the room. So he punches him like 3 or 4 times and he doesn't fucking budge.
Yeah. So they were going to like mutilate him with the flamethrower. So he takes the flamethrower and hits the dude with the fucking gas tank, blows him up. Then he gets a fucking grenade launcher out of nowhere and says, how do you like your ribs? And fucking shoots the dude in the chest and blows him up.
That's the Switchblade guy.
What the fuck is happening?
It's creeping into the Cobra
It is absurd.
land.
Do you guys know why Def Leppard, like, they have, like, their drummer has one arm?
It's because of this.
It's because of this fucking movie.
Yeah, Action Jackson.
One of my favorite jokes of all time is what has 9 arms and sucks?
Def Leppard.
Def Leppard.
Got it.
Okay.
Anyway.
Yes.
Yeah, it makes... It's so crazy. But, you know, we take out... we take out Ninja Def Leppard.
Yeah.
They're now out of the equation now. So now Action Jackson has to get to the party where the assassination is going to take place because the Invisible Man is set with a sniper rifle.
With his shirt on.
With Action Jackson's shirt on. Because, again, that's going to go ahead and frame him.
Yep, that's what they're going to do. They're going to use his dental records. You know, we can find his burned, charred body in a car accident or whatever they're going to do.
Yeah.
It included one of the greatest scenes in cinema history. One of the best lines of dialogue I've ever heard. Is
from
Coach.
This movie?
Yeah, Coach is saying hi to everybody. He seems very happy considering his wife's dead. You know, he doesn't seem like... No one seems to be giving him any condolences, which I thought was fucking strange.
Zero.
One of the patrons rolls up on him and says, "I'm scandalized. There was no one to park our car."
That
and
lady,
I swear to God...
She was so mad that she didn't have...
I have never, in 4 decades, heard anybody say the line, "I'm scandalized." I'll never hear it again, but this movie brought that to me. I learned something about myself.
It's a gift.
There's a level of...
And given no more.
There's a level of screenwriting that was not met. And making this movie.
I'm scandalized. That's the richest thing anybody said.
He's like, I'll look into that right away.
So Jackson brings his crew. We got Ed. We got Albert.
We got the
Sable.
Sable. Yeah.
With his fancy fucking footwork for an old man. Way too fancy for my blood. And more importantly, if this movie didn't get any more ridiculous, it had to get more ridiculous because this motherfucker drove a car up a flight of fucking stairs.
Yes, he did.
I don't know. And I kept going, is he actually driving? He's driving up the fucking stairs. He's not slowing down either.
So I made a note. I'm like, it's one thing to drive a car into a house.
It's one thing.
It's another thing to drive your car into the house, through a guy, back up, hit the guy, back up, go up the stairs, somehow turn down a hallway in a fucking car.
Have you guys ever been in anything?
And then somehow turn the car again out of the hallway and into a bedroom.
Have you guys ever been in any building where the hallway was big enough that a car could drive down it?
No.
Maybe a school.
And that car didn't even seem phased. Like, it wasn't hitting anything.
No.
Those fucking hallways were wide.
It was impressive.
That is a gigantic vagina of a hallway.
You know what? Coach has a lot of money.
Yeah, you gotta throw...
He planned for this.
It's like throwing a hot dog down a hallway. That was basically him driving this car, man.
Also, why was the car parked... like slanted up like this?
It was the car on
You can't
display.
see what I'm saying, but like the car was not flat on the ground. Like the back tires were probably 3 or 4 feet up in the ground. Like it was on display like at a fucking car dealership.
Because it was hottest, Jeff.
Oh.
Was that the hottest?
That was the hottest.
That was like this fucking thing.
So that was what Dave is referring to is fucking Coach's commercial said hotter, hottest. So while fucking Action Jackson is driving his car through a fucking house, as he's driving by the doors, he keeps saying, hot, hotter, hottest. Like he knew what fucking bedroom they were in.
Yeah.
But the
one
he said,
soldier,
but the one he said hottest just so happened to be that the room that fucking Coach and Vanity were in. It's so absurd.
Did you guys pick up, like, as shit was starting to go down and outside at the party, and he thwarted the assassination attempt, and, you know, not Wesley Snipes' blade got electrocuted somehow with Christmas lights?
He got electrocuted and
then
he
impaled.
fell through spikes.
He did. He got impaled on a fence that wasn't there at the beginning.
It's a bad way to go.
It's a bad way to go. That Craig T. Nelson looks at, like, his henchman and goes, "Get the chopper."
The chopper. Get the chopper.
Shit.
Because, again, this movie is 1 year removed from Predator.
Right.
Where Arnold Schwarzenegger, and I quote, "Get to the chopper!"
So, here we are. This motherfucker done drove up a flight of stairs. Maybe 2. I'm not even sure. There might have been a landing. I couldn't tell. It happened really fucking fast. He gets out the fucking car. Coach, a smart villain, grabs Vanity as a hostage. He has the gun to her head.
Mm-hmm.
And possibly the most interesting thing this movie ever provided to me was, you know what? Let's 1v1. Put your fucking gun down. Let's just fucking square up.
What if
And
Coach,
they did!
What if Coach stopped and said, "Pop quiz, hot shot"?
Oh my god.
God.
It is the BBCU.
What do you do? Do you shoot the hostage? What do you do?
Shoot the hostage.
And they proceeded to have they squared up with each other and had a fucking fight.
Vanity was on so much fucking heroin or whatever they were injecting her, they could have shot her twice and she wouldn't even known.
Yeah. Bath salts.
Which happened later on in this fucking scene.
She was clean turkey.
Yeah.
Cold turkey, she said.
She was forced, basically. And so Coach and Jericho, they fight karate style, Coach was karate fighting him. I don't know what actual, that was jiu-jitsu or taekwondo or what'd you call it? Karate. And eventually, guns are involved and Coach gets shot in the fucking chest.
I don't know if Dave, if you picked up on this, but I was getting like mad JBL vibes from Coach.
Oh my god,
like the whole movie.
That's probably.
And as I was thinking about it, I was like, Dave's gonna say something about this.
I did not.
I have to believe.
I did not, because when Action Jackson was getting owned, because that was the thing that I was having. Again, I can picture Carl Weathers running at 40 miles per hour and doing a standing fucking front flip over a taxi cab, and not like saying that suspends my disbelief.
Coach doing jiu-jitsu, not so much.
But Coach owning Carl Weathers to the point that he only gets pissed off because it gets put through a car window was like the point where I like drew the line.
He only got pissed off because he got pissed off.
Yeah.
Like, that's a weird motivation.
Yeah, he fucking leveled up to...
Like, how are you not mad the whole time?
No. He leveled up to Indiana Jones punches. Like, did you guys notice that at all? Like, the way that at that point, like, we knew he meant business because he wasn't like Spider-Man throwing his punches anymore. He was like...
He was really putting his body weight into it.
I was waiting to see, like, from an old fucking 60s Batman episode, pow, kablam, shavow. Like, all sorts of weird shit being said because of that. And then, of course, gunshot.
Yep, and that's how we end it.
Fucking absolute crazy gunshot. Because Action Jackson got his gun back.
And interestingly enough...
Because the detective gave him the gun, right? Wasn't it like his old partner?
His old partner.
Yeah. Because he was going to arrest him, but then said, all right, fuck it.
Yeah.
His old partner shot one of the assassins outside once all the shit was going down.
That's true. And then the movie just ends. It, like, abruptly ends.
I love it. Vanity comes up and she goes, oh my god, how did he miss you? And then, like, Carl Weathers just goes, he didn't. And he's got a fucking gunshot in his shoulder and everything. Because, like, it's not like a Han shot first situation. Coach got the shot off.
Yeah.
Well before Action Jackson blew him away.
And then he's like, but, just so you know, I don't sleep with junkies.
I'm not a junkie.
She's like, I'm not. I quit cold turkey.
I'm not a junkie anymore. You want to fuck on my Thanksgiving dinner table in front of my parents? I thought you'd never ask.
That turkey ain't the only thing
Roll
that's
credits.
stuffed.
And like there was no credit. Yeah,
credits.
That's right.
It just right into it.
He was like,
fucking go right into the credits.
He was like, how about sooner? And they're like, okay. And then just like the last movie we cover, they just start fucking and everyone watches.
The end.
Fucking Biff from Back to the Future is just there fucking getting off to it.
It was a weird fucking film.
It's wild.
It was all over the place, but it was fun.
We've covered a spectrum of 80s action films on this podcast to date. I keep looking at this movie and lining it up with Cobra. Would you say that Action Jackson is more absurd than Cobra, less absurd than Cobra, or about the same level of absurd
Less
as
absurd.
Cobra? Less absurd?
Oh my god.
Yeah,
Cobra was a whole other
definitely
animal
less.
of not good.
The ketchup alone at that fucking dry...
Forgot about that.
Just
the fucking body count.
I
on
can't look at ketchup the same way again. You can't.
You look it in the eyes.
Like I don't put it on French fries. It's ranch dressing now, cheese and bacon. So
I don't know.
I'm glad I watched
crazy.
it. 96 minutes well spent for $3.99.
Yeah,
I guess.
it was good to revisit that. You know, it's interesting because like Carl Weathers is all in. There were originally plans for a sequel because it was a moderate success given, you know, the bad reviews it got from the critics, but like it made money based on what it cost to make it.
Right.
It was originally, you know, Warner Brothers had it. Then they sold off the rights to Sony, and then Sony ultimately sold the rights off, so it got shelved and kiboshed a long time ago. But what do you think the second episode of fucking Action Jackson would have been about?
Oh, God damn it!
I feel like it would have
because they gave him his badge back
and Lieutenant.
Yeah,
he had the girl and the badge and the gun. Like, where do you go? If you're Action Jackson, where do you go from here?
Action Jackson 2 absolutely does not pay any fucking heed to Action Jackson 1. We're not world building here. Everything
It's completely separate.
Everything that fucking happens in the second movie pays absolutely no attention. Yeah. The first one almost never existed. Vanity probably fucking OD'd. She didn't quit cold turkey.
No. She's definitely not in the sequel.
No, she's not in the sequel. He has to carry that burden with him, or he doesn't because, maybe...
They never bring it up.
She could have been interested. Maybe she was like into some really weird shit that just didn't meet his sensibility, and he was like, you know what, I can't do this anymore. So
that's fair.
Yeah. But no, it absolutely does not pay any attention to Action Jackson Part 1. So
one thing's for sure, he's gonna catch a fucking helicopter with his bare hands and pull it back to the helipad.
Yeah.
I feel like that's what's gonna happen.
You mentioned something about
with
Carl
no shirt on.
With no shirt on.
And they're gonna do is zoom in on his fucking muscles like they did. Just to remind you that, hey, not only is a badass, like, it's still Apollo Creed. Like, look at those fucking guns.
This fucking dude's huge.
I'm trying not to get turned on by this conversation, just thinking about Chris Evans doing that.
The table just moved, like, where you're sitting.
It did a little bit. So, you mentioned something about Carl Weathers in Action Jackson that I think it's important to say that the acting in this movie was all in. Nobody phoned this movie in like it was going to be a fucking joke.
No, it didn't seem that way.
And you got some decent actors, some decent character actors, people you've seen in a bunch of shit. Nobody phones this in. It is not the actor's fault that this movie does not work. I don't even think it's really the director's fault necessarily.
It's the goddamn script.
That this movie, the script was fucking terrible.
It just didn't have it.
And there was no way you could have edited this thing in a way that could have saved it. Like, you could have sent them back for reshoots for a month and probably still couldn't have figured out how to make this movie work. So I think they just kind of went with it. It is not a good movie by any stretch. It is enjoyable.
It's fun. It was fun.
It was fun.
And I think there's a trend of that in the late 80s, early 90s of like these movies that are now cult classics like this one, where it's like they didn't really give a fuck. Like, the studio gave them X amount of money. They were going to spend every dime of it. Sometimes it was on cocaine. Sometimes it was on actual production value. You don't really know what you're going to get until they fucking do it.
Unless Jean-Claude Van Damme is in the movie, then you know exactly what you're going to get.
Then you need to double the cocaine budget.
Double the cocaine budget.
God.
But, like, it's very interesting because, like, it's not that great of a movie, but it's good enough that it's like, you know what? I wonder what it would have been like if they made a second.
It takes itself just serious enough, but not too serious.
Just enough, yeah.
The fact that he fucking double flipped over a fucking cat.
Yeah, they tiptoed the line without going too far over it, where it was like, this is just fucking stupid and ridiculous.
I'll tell you what the sequel would have been. If I were in charge, we would have had the greatest crossover movie of all time, Cobra and Action Jackson.
Oh, shit.
The body count would have been absurd.
Look, you already got precedent for Stallone to work together with Carl Weathers. I don't think he's not going to say no.
So if Rocky got over Apollo, who would come out on top between Action Jackson and fucking Cobra? Listen, that's the last serious question we're going to end.
Wait.
And that's a serious question.
We're
going to end this show on.
Are they in a steel mill or are they in a warehouse?
Yes.
Because I think home field is...
And there's fucking molten magma.
There's molten
there's
magma.
Fucking shit on fire.
Shit's on fire.
It's abandoned, but shit's on fire.
Lots of chemicals are just hanging around.
Yes. I will say that Action Jackson would get over and actually be able to, in the initial first act interaction where they don't like their button heads, because they'd end up teaming up together, but I feel confident that Action Jackson would get over on what the fuck was his name even?
Cobra.
Cobra.
Cobra was his name.
I watched Cobra. You two watched Cobra. And I don't remember a single time Cobra did a fucking front flip over a moving fucking vehicle. He just shot a bunch of people.
He doesn't have the legs for that.
That's true. Rocky never did leg day.
No.
He skipped.
Yeah, so I feel that Jackson would be more of the super soldier in the situation. Man, part of me wants to watch Cobra again. It's weird. Because it was so not good. It was so.
Can I give you some solid life advice?
Don't watch it.
don't fucking do that.
I kind of want to a little
Just
bit.
go back and listen to our episode. Don't fucking
like
watch
eventually
it.
when we eventually run out of subjects, we're going to do like remix episodes. We go back and watch something again.
First off,
drunk the whole time.
That's the only way to do it.
Yeah.
We've spent a lot of time in the 80s. We've barely tapped the 90s. And we have not gone anywhere near the 2000s.
Well, we can't yet.
Well, we can't yet. Marion Cobra is Marion
that's right.
What's his name? Marion Cobreski or something?
Cabretti.
What a
Marion Cabretti. Yep.
Marion.
How do you fucking pull that one out?
Because I fucking know what it is. My mind works in weird ways.
Like
Cabretti.
The higher that alcohol percentage is, the more Jeff's brain's unlocked.
This is empty.
Listen, I cannot stress to everybody enough. Go pay the $3.99 and rent Action Jackson if you have it on VHS or, heaven forbid, DVD somewhere. I don't know why you do, but watch it. It's a fun watch.
Pour yourself a drink.
Don't watch Cobra.
And just don't take it serious. Just enjoy the shit out of it.
Yeah, that fucking train.
Randomly. Middle of the suburbs and a fucking train just goes through it.
Look, Action Jackson's on. It's gonna come from fucking flying through this window.
That might be like how this like fucking happens.
But I
we look out the window and like Marion Cobretti and Jericho Jackson are just standing out there by our cars.
That's tag team of the year, man.
I saw a trailer just came out. They're redoing The Strangers. You guys remember The Strangers movie?
No.
It was Scott Speedman and Liv Taylor, and they're like in this cabin in the woods, and this family shows up in masks, and they just start torturing them and everything. It was like in the early 2000s.
No.
Isn't that This Is Us? Or isn't that, what was that?
This Is Us. Jesus Christ.
Hold up,
Holy fucking shit.
Wait, was that This Is Us? What the Us?
Us.
Yeah, it's very similar to that.
Yeah,
Except
they're
they're
the
not
exact same thing.
They're not doppelgangers though. They're actual like just a fucked up.
This Is Us. Wrong movie, wrong show, Joe.
They're
They're
just the same thing.
They're
not even kind of.
Not well. It's kind of. But Us goes right into a very different direction than this is a fucked up family in the middle of the backwoods kind of a thing. Well, they just
Did you say Scott Speedman?
I think that's Scott Speedman. Yeah,
that is a name I've not even fucking thought of since like 2002.
There's a lot of reason for that.
But since like Underworld.
Yeah, but I think this was after Underworld, so I think this was
Underworld.
But they're redoing it. And a couple of unknown actors are in it, and it's the same thing. They're wearing the same fucking
So it's
masks.
the same actors as last time.
It's The Strangers Chapter 1 reboots the horror franchise, and there's the trailer for it.
Was it a franchise? Was there multiple Stranger movies?
There might have been. It's kind of like...
Is it a franchise if no one watched any of it?
No.
Does it really make
It's
a
bullshit.
franchise?
That's the only way they can remarket it to get people to actually watch it. And they're like, yeah, I think I remember that. Meanwhile, it's like, no, that never fucking existed.
Look, they got me talking about it, so it worked on one person.
Yeah, I guess
whatever the marketing strategy was. But in that thing, it's like there's these fucking people that are just standing outside, and then they're inside, and they got axes and shit. I could see that being Marion Cabretti and Jericho Jackson outside at our cars right now. We just have to stay in Jeff's house forever because if we go out there, there might be nipple chewing involved.
The best part about the combination of Marion Cabretti and Jericho Jackson is they're so totally fucking different.
Yeah.
And that chemistry
would work.
Because Cabretti doesn't say shit.
No.
It's like the
He
mega
does not
powers.
like interacting with people.
That's the mega powers.
And then you got fucking Jericho, who's a lot more
Over the
charismatic, a lot more interested in being more of an extrovert. I feel like it would piss Cabretti off so much because he's touching his shit. Don't touch his fucking ketchup. That sort of thing. I feel like that's the movie we should see.
Cabretti definitely nipple chewed with Bridget Nielsen.
I would assume.
I don't think that. I think Action Jackson eventually nipple chewed Vanity.
Oh, he got a whole mouthful. He did more than just chewing that shit.
But he just unhinged his jaw like a fucking python and just tried to swallow it whole.
Yeah.
Like Jim Carrey, Me, Myself, and Irene.
Oh, boy. On that note, folks, thanks for joining us for another fantastic, enjoyable episode of Nothing Good, where we talked about the classic 80s film,
Fucking
Action
classic.
Jackson.
Fucking
And I
classic.
dare you, motherfuckers, when you are done listening to this episode, to say Action Jackson 5 times fast. You can't. It can't be done.
Don't do it in front of a mirror because then weird shit will happen.
Yeah, your titties might get chewed on. I don't know.
And if you haven't seen it, go fucking watch it.
Or you might lose your balls.
In a jar.
In a jar.
Papa Doc.
Mm-hmm. That sounds like a terrible movie.
Meanwhile, like, they probably didn't even kill Papa Doc. Like, they made it out like we took his balls. Like,
they're probably not even his balls. Just some rando at the bar.
Yeah, he's probably sitting upstairs in the upstairs room watching it behind, like, protective glass, counting cash.
You know,
or doing cocaine.
Just smoking a cigarette.
How fucked up you gotta be to, like, who does it? Who does the clipping? And then the transport. Or do you hold the jar underneath and you clip it?
He had a decent
They just,
knife.
like, drop into your hand? Like...
Well, because here's the other thing, too. Upon, like, further inspection... It wasn't like they were in the sack. It was definitely like the
sack was gone.
Yeah, they skinned the sack
on that coin purse was missing.
Oh, yeah, it was.
You don't die from that.
No. No, what you do to my nuts after you chop them off is your own business. Ask my wife.
We're talking about the 80s, man. That dude died. They didn't sew him back up.
I mean, they said he was dead.
They didn't take like a hot like soldering iron and just kind of sealed it.
That's a pain that I hope I never need to know.
After the first pain, I don't think you're worried about the second one.
Well, at that point, you go in shock.
What's the first pain?
Getting your nuts cut off.
Oh.
Having it burn with a hot fucking iron afterwards probably doesn't... But see, it probably wouldn't be like a hot iron like they're pulling out of a fire. It's probably like the thing you use to like iron your shirt, and they just press it.
Just a regular
iron.
Again, we could ask Varys his thoughts on it.
They're not... Well, in Varys times, they use like a hot rodder. Yeah. They didn't have that. But like in Action Jackson's time, they're not lighting fires all the time just to go ahead and do it. They're plugging that shit in. Yeah. Maybe they sprayed it a little bit with the water just to moisten it so you took care of the wrinkles.
It's more of a
yeah, you gotta get the sizzle on it.
Gotta get the steam going.
Yeah.
Make sure there's no wrinkles.
The steam's important.
Can't be wrinkled. Okay. So next week,
great episode.
We will be covering X-Men '97, or at least the X-Men animated series, right?
Correct.
We're gonna. God damn it! I'm so excited about just kind of getting to geek out about this show and all the goodness that it brought. And by then, the episode will be out, and maybe we can talk about that a little bit, depending on timing and how that works out. But it'll be fun. It'll be a good time.
Hell yeah! Looking forward to it. Thank you, everybody, for joining us this week. Go watch Action Jackson. Tell us what you think about it. And we will see you again next week. Dun 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 ba 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 da 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 da. Nothing good.